The forces I created in my dreams appeared in reality. On the podium, Professor Yuan called out Zhang Yi's name. When no response came, she frowned, confused, and scanned the room. Finally, she noticed Zhang Yi slumped over his desk, sound asleep, and her expression darkened. The students shifted their gaze toward Zhang Yi. Wow, Zhang Yi is really something. Sleeping in Professor Yuan's class? He's done for this semester. Professor Yuan's face tightened with irritation as she stormed off the podium, her heels clacking sharply against the floor. Just as she reached his desk, Zhang Yi stirred. In a sudden jolt, he sat upright, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. Phew, I finally made it out of that dream, but, sigh. Lost in thought, Zhang Yi shook his head at the bittersweet memory of his dream's ending. The room felt unusually quiet, and when he turned, he was greeted by the sight of Professor Yuan, standing ominously beside him. Oh no, I fell asleep in Professor Yuan's class? Of all places? Damn this stupid dream, Zhang Yi cursed inwardly. Recently, he had been unusually sleepy. He even went for a full-body medical checkup, but the doctors found nothing. Instead, they gave him a medical certificate, confirming his drowsiness as a condition. If she gives me trouble, I'll just whip out that certificate, Zhang Yi thought, smirking to himself. Let's see how she deals with that. Poor me, a student with a medical condition. To his surprise, Professor Yuan didn't scold him right away. Instead, she posed a question. Zhang Yi, answer this. During the late Ming and early Qing dynasties, apart from the Qing government, what was the most powerful organization? Without fully processing the question, Zhang Yi blurted out his answer while still half immersed in his dream. At the end of the Ming dynasty, besides the Qing, the strongest power was Beiyu village. Emperor Huang Taiji led 100,000 troops, and they all perished trying to conquer it. As soon as the words left his mouth, Zhang Yi froze, his heart dropped. Wait a minute, what the heck did I just say? He mentally slapped himself. That's my dream. I just told the class about my dream. The room erupted in laughter. Beiyu village? Zhang Yi, are you still dreaming or what? The students doubled over, clutching their sides, as laughter spread like wildfire. Even Professor Yuan couldn't hold back a chuckle. You. Professor Yuan pointed a trembling finger at Zhang Yi, at a complete loss for words. She had expected a wrong or incomplete answer, but it was absurd beyond belief. Beiyu village? 100,000 troops? Zhang Yi, are you telling fairy tales now? She huffed, exasperated. With a sigh, she shook her head. You can't teach someone who refuses to learn. Rotting wood can't be carved. Turning her attention away from him, she called on another student. Song Jipeng, you answer the question. A neatly dressed young man stood up, adjusting his red tie against his spotless white suit. In every way, Song Jipeng appeared like the perfect student, polished and self-assured. Professor Yuan, he began with a formal tone. In the late Ming and early Qing period, the largest underground force was the Hongmen. Founded by Chen Jinan, it was initially targeted by Emperor Huang Taiji with 30,000 soldiers. Although it suffered losses, Hongmen later played a critical role in resisting foreign invasions, especially against the Sakura kingdom. Professor Yuan gave an approving nod. Well done, Song Jipeng. Zhang Yi's eye twitched. Seriously? How is this guy so over the top? Are college students this competitive now? Zhang Yi, did you catch the correct answer? Professor Yuan asked. Yes, Professor. Zhang Yi replied hastily. Good. Next time, stay awake in class. Surprisingly, she didn't press him further, leaving the rest of the class stunned. But those who knew Professor Yuan well were certain. Zhang Yi's troubles were far from over. Zhang Yi sighed as sympathetic glances from his classmates met his gaze. Seriously? What kind of luck is this? He thought bitterly. I didn't even get a chance to show her my medical certificate. While Professor Yuan resumed her lecture, Zhang Yi zoned out completely. His thoughts drifted back to the strange dreams that had been haunting him lately. Over the past month, he had fallen asleep frequently and, without fail, found himself trapped in the same continuous dream. Every night, the dream would pick up where it left off, like a bizarre, unending TV series. In the dream, he had been training since childhood, mastering strange arts, crafting mystical puppets and magical artifacts, and even practicing techniques that allowed him to walk on walls and fly across rooftops. It was exhilarating. Then, a strange thought crossed his mind. Wait, could I still be dreaming now? On impulse, Zhang Yi tried one of the exercises he'd learned in his dream. To his utter disbelief, he felt something, an unmistakable sensation of energy flowing within him. What the? There's qi in my body. Zhang Yi slapped his face twice. Smack, smack. Ow! He yelped as pain shot through his cheeks. Nope, this isn't a dream. The sudden noise startled the entire class. All eyes turned toward him, including Professor Yuan's, who paused mid-sentence. Zhang Yi chuckled awkwardly. Sorry. I just couldn't forgive myself for falling asleep in Professor Yuan's class, so I had to teach myself a little lesson. The class burst into giggles, and even Professor Yuan's stern expression softened slightly. It's good that you realize your mistake, she said. But the best way to make up for it is by paying attention in class. Zhang Yi nodded vigorously, picking up a book and pretending to read. Professor Yuan narrowed her eyes. Zhang Yi, that's the wrong textbook. Ah! Zhang Yi yelped, fumbling to grab the correct one. The classroom erupted into laughter once more, and Professor Yuan pinched the bridge of her nose in exasperation. It was going to be a long semester for Zhang Yi. A big class ended quickly. Zhang Yi held the textbook in his hand, but secretly he was running the exercises in his dream, and he was full of magic skills. Oh my God, I didn't expect the exercises in my dream to be real. Obediently, I won't be sliced as a guinea pig. Since the exercises are real, is that incomparably real dream real? Couldn't help but feel angry in Zhang Yi's heart. Just a month ago, Zhang Yi began to be sleepy, and every time he fell asleep, he would repeat the previous dream. In the dream, Zhang Yi was an orphan who was raised by a traveling Taoist priest and named Zan Yi by the Taoist priest. Zan Yi has traveled around the world with Taoist priests since he can remember, and a technique called Divine Skill 100 Refining has inexplicably appeared in his mind. The Divine Skill 100 Refining is quite magical. It can make the cultivator's physique beyond ordinary people's invulnerability, and it can also make magic weapons and puppets for their own actions. In the dream, Zan Yi told the old Taoist priest about the 100 refining of divine skills, but the old Taoist priest was unable to cultivate, and he could never find the sense of qi. In this way, Xuanyi in the dream followed the old Taoist priest all over the world as his home, until Xuanyi was 16 years old, and the old Taoist priest died. Having lost his only relative, Zan Yi began to wander alone, when the Qing army invaded, and Zan Yi wandered while helping people displaced by the war. During this period, Xuanyi's cultivation of magic skills was successful, and many magical methods were displayed in front of the world. The ancients were ignorant, and after seeing Xuanyi's methods, some people offered Xuanyi as a god, and some people regarded Xuanyi as a demon and a monster. After traveling independently for another 2 years, Xuanyi has never met a stranger like himself. The name given by the inhuman Ten Xuanyi means that it is a person who can practice qi or has special abilities. Years of travel have allowed Zan Yi to meet all kinds of people, but apart from the old Taoist priest, he no longer has a friend to talk to. Because of their own power, those who approach them are either in awe or have ulterior motives. In that year, the Qing army entered Kyoto. The Ming dynasty was completely destroyed. Huang Taiji ascended to the supreme position, and Xuanyi also stopped wandering. It was also at that time that he had the idea that since there was no second person in the world with extraordinary powers, he would create a second, third, or even more people with extraordinary powers. Not only that, but he also wants to create a force where everyone can live in harmony without high ground and lowliness. In this way, someone will be able to talk to him, and there will be no deceit. I have to say that the idea of Xuanyi in the dream is very naive. So Xuanyi created a village called Beiyu Village. Subsequently, it took nearly a year to create the pinnacle of divine refinement, the creation furnace. The furnace can treat people's physical ailments, and can even regenerate severed limbs. Not only that, the biggest role of the furnace is that it can allow ordinary people to master qi and have magical power. Of course, not everyone is able to gain power through the creation furnace, and only a very few people are able to successfully awaken. In this way, in the past 3 years, Beiyu Village has gathered many villagers. And there is a steady stream of people coming here. Xuanyi is not an individual to accept. Everyone who comes to Beiyu village must go through the test, and only those who pass can become a member of Beiyu village. 5 years later, the number of villagers in Beiyu village reached 3,000, and 6 of them successfully awakened through the self-cultivator. It was also in this year that Beiyu village entered the sight of Huang Taiji. Huang Taiji tried every means to recruit Zan Yi to no avail, and finally decided to exterminate Beiyu village. If you can't get it, you will destroy it. What's more, as the emperor, how can Huang Taiji tolerate a force that does not belong to him to thrive in his country, even if Zan Yi always emphasizes that Beiyu village is a neutral force and will not compete for power? So, the 100,000 strong army sharpened its swords and Huo marched towards Beiyu village. Before the army set off, Huang Taiji secretly met with the generals of the army and asked him to capture Zan Yi alive as much as possible, but it was really not possible, and he had to bring back the rumored creation furnace. As for why Huang Taiji wanted to build the furnace, it may be that he wants to build a super army that has always belonged to him, or he may have thoughts about Chongsheng Jushi, thinking that the self-cultivation device can help him realize this wish. As for the reason for the army to send troops, it is very simple, to eliminate the remnants of the Ming dynasty. In this way, Beiyu village was charged with the remnants of the Ming dynasty. The Great War is on the verge of breaking out. The Qing army set off secretly, and after getting the news, Beiyu village had an army of 100,000 troops outside the village. A scuffle unfolds. There are more than 3,000 people in Beiyu village, which is completely due to the disadvantage of numbers. However, each village name has been transformed by a furnace, and although it has not awakened to control the qi, its physical fitness is also several times stronger than that of ordinary soldiers, and one villager can withstand dozens of soldiers. Over the years, Xuanyi has focused on self-cultivation devices, but there are not many magic weapons, only 18 magic weapons. In addition to himself and the 6 awakened Inhumans, there are also 8 magic weapons held by ordinary village names. The name of the village with the magic weapon is not a problem, plus the 12 battle puppets were fined by Xuanyi, and the Qing army has been fighting back and forth for a while. It wasn't until the Qing army's musket team came on the field that a large number of villagers began to die. A battle lasted from morning to night, until the sun set, and there were only 7 people left in Beiyu village, namely Zan Yi and the other 6 people who had successfully awakened. As for the Qing army, there were still 40,000 soldiers and horses left. The battle continued, and the 6 awakened continued to fall, and in the end, only Zan Yi was left. With all his might, Zan Yi finally killed the last person of the Qing army, and he was also seriously wounded. It was at this time that an Inhuman suddenly appeared and attacked Xuanyi. Zan Yi dragged his seriously injured body to fight again. During this period, it was discovered that this person was actually a person who came to Beiyu village for treatment a long time ago, and his name was Shen Liuliang. This person Zan Yi has a deep memory. He is the only one who awakened to become a stranger but was cleared of his memory, eliminated his sense of anger and drove out of Beiyu village. He came to Beiyu village with an impure mind, and he was bent on reversing the Qing dynasty and restoring the Ming dynasty to start a war again. The battle ended with Zan Yi winning, but Zan Yi was also seriously injured and died not long after. After this battle, more than 3,000 villages in Beiyu village, from children to the elderly, were spared. Glancing at the dilapidated Beiyu village, Zan Yi took difficult steps to sort out the corpses of all the villagers in Beiyu village. He used the last of his strength to create a huge coffin that enveloped more than 3,000 people, while he himself sat in front of the coffin and swallowed his last breath. With Zan Yi's death, the entire Beiyu village shook and gradually sank into the ground. Since Zhang Yi woke up after class, the problem of drowsiness has not appeared, and he has not had such dreams. In the following week, Zhang Yi practiced qi in the dormitory except for going to class. Being able to cultivate the divine skill 100 refining in the dream, Zhang Yi didn't tell anyone. He is not the Xuanyi in his dreams. This society is not an ancient society, and developing alone is the king. On this day, Zhang Yi, as usual, went to the classroom to attend classes. Ever since the sleeping incident, Professor Yuan has often called his name in class, either asking this question or that question. I came a little early today, and the classmates around me chattered nonstop. Zhang Yi lay on the desk and pretended to sleep, but in fact, he practiced qi. I don't know what's going on. Zhang Yi's cultivation of the divine machine is not as easy as in his dream. This week's progress is slow. The qi in his body is pitiful, and he barely refines a magic weapon, or the kind that will be scrapped after using it once. It is estimated that the development of society now has made heaven and earth lose their aura. Hey, you've heard that the construction of the subway in Jingbai City and the digging of an underground space can be called the ninth wonder of the world. The ninth wonder of the world, are you? Some students don't believe it. What are the 8 wonders of the world? The Great Wall, the pyramids, the Hanging Gardens. Which one was not built in ancient times when it cost money, time and talent? Alas, don't believe it, it's crazy on the internet now, and it's said that it has now been taken over by the state. A classmate said and took out his mobile phone, and there was a picture on the phone, which contained a photo of a corner of a dilapidated village. Isn't it just a photo of an ancient village, and this can still become the ninth wonder of the world? It's true that this is an ancient village, but if I say that this photo doesn't have a PS, it was taken directly with a camera? What do you mean? Think about it, this is an underground space, the sun can't shine, there will be no light at all. But the photo is as bright as day, and you see, the wild grass everywhere is about to enter the wax moon, but the plants here are unusually luxuriant, isn't it a miracle? Some students exclaimed, and after Song Jipeng's explanation, they suddenly realized. Judging from the photos, there is no trace of this village buried in the ground. How can you be as bright as day without sunlight and electricity? Without electricity? What is the ninth wonder of the world? After finishing today's practice, Zhang Yi heard the students around him talking about the ninth wonder of the world. As a top student of the Department of Archaeology of Beijing University, Zhang Yi still knows the 8 wonders of the world, but what the hell is this ninth wonder? Classmate, what do you mean by the ninth wonder of the world? Yo, woke up from sleep. Although Zhang Yi's drowsiness is gone, every time he cultivates, Zhang Yi lies on the table and pretends to sleep, so he naturally has the title of Sleeping God. No, this is it, an ancient village found under Jingbai City. Song Jipeng said, putting the phone in front of Zhang Yi. That's... Seeing this, Zhang Yi suddenly broke out in a cold sweat on his back. Without him, the corner of the ancient village in the mobile phone is exactly the same as the corner of Beiyu village in his dream. What the hell is this? Zhang Yi was shocked. The drama in his dream turned out to be real. Song Jipeng, you just said that this underground space is in Jingbai City? Well, yes. Song Jipeng looked at Zhang Yi, who was shocked, with disdain on his face. Ordinary people are ordinary people, and when they encounter something that they can't explain, they are shocked, but like me, they can still deal with it calmly. Keihoku City. Zhang Yi took out his mobile phone and opened the map and found the geographical location of Jingbai City. Can't be wrong. The Beiyu village in my dream is in the current South 4th Ring Road of Jingbai City. What's going on? Zhang Yi scolded secretly in his heart. It doesn't matter if the magic machine is true, after all, only he knows about this matter, but Beiyu village, when he went to see a doctor some time ago, he told the doctor everything that happened in the dream. Now that Beiyu village has appeared in reality, doesn't this mean that he will be exposed? Ma Dan, is it too late to turn yourself in now? Such a thought flashed in Zhang Yi's heart, and then shook his head. It is impossible for him to turn himself in, he doesn't want to be sliced as a guinea pig. Now there's another way, and that's to catch the doctor and amnestic him. Although the Xuanyi in the dream can erase people's memories, but with the help of the self-cultivation furnace, do you want to catch that doctor in Beiyu village and restart the furnace? It seems that I am going to go to Beiyu village for a visit and pay tribute to the 3,000 villagers of Beiyu village. Zhang Yi, who is in line with the king's way, couldn't help but have this idea in his heart after the appearance of Beiyu village. Although it was a dream, the 3,000 villagers of Beiyu village, their voices, faces and smiles were deeply engraved in Zhang Yi's mind. Even if it was not to erase the doctor's memory of him, he had to go. In the dream, Zhang Yi performed the ultimate mystery of divine power when he was dying, and transformed Beiyu village and the 10 miles radius into a special world, and the heaven and earth aura that existed in it was much more than in modern society. I'll go to the hospital early tomorrow morning, the doctor will pick me up, and then I'll go to Beiyu village. Zhang Yi returned to his seat, with a lot of thoughts in his heart, and it was not until Professor Yuan finished his lecture that he came back to his senses. Okay students, that's all for this lesson, and then I'm going to talk about one thing. Just yesterday, a major event happened in the archaeological circle, and I guess some students also know about it. That is, a magical underground space was excavated in Jingbai City, and there is an ancient village in it. At the end of this class, I will go to this mysterious underground space, and at the same time, I will take 2 students to do a live archaeological broadcast on the whole network. I will select a man and a woman from the top 10 students in the department to go with me. Now you open the campus app, start voting, and the male and female students with the most votes will accompany me. After Professor Yuan finished speaking, the sketchers in the audience took out their mobile phones and began to vote excitedly. Soon, the voting ended. The last ones to be selected were Song Jipeng and Su Yao, the flower of the Department of Archaeology. Song Jipeng can be said to be a rich second generation, and he often invites his classmates to dinner on weekdays, so he naturally gets the most votes. As for Su Yao, as a flower of the Department of Archaeology of Beijing University, the most important thing is to lick the dog. In the South 4th Ring Road of Jingbai City, where Bayu Village is located, Professor Yuan took Song Jipeng and Su Yao to stand at the entrance of the underground space. This entrance was dug during the excavation of the subway tunnel, and the entrance was not on the ground, but on the dome of the entire underground space. Old Yuan, you're here. At the entrance, an old man with gray hair saw Professor Yuan and stepped forward to talk. Well, what's going on inside now? It's hard to say. We've arranged for drones to enter to investigate, but there seems to be some kind of interference inside, and the drones can't operate once they get in. Well, when are we going to go? Now that you're there, let's get started. Professor Yuan nodded, and Song Jipeng and Su Yao hurriedly turned on the live broadcast equipment when they saw this. Old Yuan, what are they? The other asked, puzzled. This time I applied to the above. In the past, archaeological activities were carried out in secret, mainly for fear that some criminals would know about the destruction, and now that the law and order are good, I want to come to an archaeological live broadcast, try to see if I can arouse everyone's enthusiasm for archaeology. It's still Lao Yuan, you keep up with the footsteps of the times. How can you be like us bad old men, who will only study on their own? It's not that it's difficult to enroll students in the Department of Archaeology now, so I thought of such a way, so I applied to the above. On the other hand, I also wanted to promote the long history and culture of the Xia Kingdom, but I didn't expect the above to really agree. While speaking, Song Jipeng and Su Yao had already finished preparing, and after getting Professor Yuan's consent, they started the live broadcast. The name of the live broadcast is The Ninth Wonder, comparable to the 8 Wonders of the World, Underground Ancient Village. In order to play a promotional role, the live broadcast room has been opened, and it has occupied the headlines of the live broadcast platform. Not only that, but even the central channel is live streamed. In an instant, a large number of viewers poured into the live broadcast room. The Ninth Wonder of the World, Underground Ancient Village, is that the news from yesterday? I am looking forward to it, so that there will be 2 world wonders in our country. A newly opened live broadcast room is directly on the headlines of the platform, and the anchor is undoubtedly the son of the boss of Fighting Shark. You're surprised when you make headlines on the platform? Go and watch the central channel, I guess your jaw will drop. The central channel is broadcasting live in real time. How much energy is the anchor? Can't you see the 2 big words behind the official name in the live broadcast room? In other words, this is an official live broadcast room? Seeing that there were more and more viewers in the live broadcast room, Song Jipeng understood that it was time for him to speak. Hello to all the viewers in front of the screen. I am Song Jipeng, one of the anchors this time, and I am a senior student in the Department of Archaeology of Shanghai Beijing University. Hello everyone, I am also one of the anchors this time, Su Yao, from the Department of Archaeology of Shanghai Beijing University. Thank you, Professor Yuan, for winning this opportunity to broadcast archaeology live for us, so that everyone can go to the archaeological site as soon as possible. I have to say that it is not easy for people to be selected, and in the opening 2 sentences, he introduced himself and made a wave of publicity for Beijing University, and also slapped a wave of Professor Yuan's sycophants. Tut, Lao Yuan, you 2 students are very witty. Another professor couldn't help but praise Song Jipeng and Su Yao's standardization. However, there are also professors who don't like Song Jipeng and Su Yao, thinking that archaeology pays attention to hard work and doesn't need these sloppy words, but in the face of Professor Yuan, they didn't show their dislike in their hearts. After all, Song Jipeng and Su Yao were the people brought over by Professor Yuan. Just like the name of the live broadcast room, we found a huge underground space in the South 4th Ring Road of Jingbai City. As for how this space was formed. Hello friends from the audience in front of the screen. I am Cheng Shifei. For the appearance of this underground space, I can only say that it is a miracle of nature. As we all know, there are many underground spaces found in the world, but almost all of them are formed by karst caves or underground rivers, but the itinerary of this underground space is completely different from the previous underground space. I think that the itinerary of this underground space is related to earthquakes or explosions, and by some coincidence, it became a kind of independent space. Okay, thank you, Professor Cheng, for your answer. Seeing that Cheng Shifei finished explaining, Song Jipeng picked up the microphone and thanked him. At this time, Su Yao stood up. Professor Cheng, just now I saw an interesting barrage in the live broadcast room. Some netizens said that this may be a cave house left by the great power of cultivating immortals. What do you think of such a statement? Su Yao's eyes sparkled. She knew how to arouse heat, and the confrontation between two different ideas was undoubtedly the fastest shortcut. Especially such a ridiculous thing as cultivating immortals. HMPH. What kind of immortal cultivator? This is all a fantasy thing. Now it is a scientific society, and some people dare to say this nonsense of cultivating immortals. You too, as a top student at Shanghai Kyoto University, would believe in such things as demons and monsters. Cheng Shifei was a little angry. He didn't expect it to be 2022, and there are still people who believe in the existence of cultivating immortals. Especially Su Yao also said it in the live broadcast. After Cheng Shifei finished speaking, Su Yao looked like she was taught, and after being reprimanded, Chu Chu's pitiful appearance instantly won the sympathy of a large number of netizens. Professor, that netizen spoke again. He said that the earthquake caused why the underground space is as bright as day, and the growth of plants is more ferocious than outside. Su Yao is a smart person. Under normal circumstances, she shouldn't say this netizen's question. After all, if Cheng is not able to answer, I'm afraid she will lose face. But Su Yao still said it, and the whole person was like a student who was eager to learn, as if he was an innocent little wight in other aspects except for learning. Well, in fact, it can be explained, just like the explosion of the universe. I just said the reason for the formation of this underground space. The earthquake released a lot of energy, and then part of the energy was absorbed by the minerals of this space, and in the days to come, the minerals that absorbed the energy continued to release energy and emit bright light. You see, at the top of this space, the minerals that are emitting light verify my statement, and as for the vegetation on the ground, this is better explained. The ground seems to be impermeable, but the gas can flow in the soil, and with light, some tenacious plants can naturally survive. And the underground space plays a certain role in insulation, which also allows the plants to grow wildly. 666. Worthy of a professor, professional knowledge is excellent. Also, I originally thought it was the mansion of an immortal cultivator, but it turned out to be the magic of nature. Wake up, upstairs, there is only science in this world, and there is no cultivation of immortals. A complete underground ecological space, this is a unique miracle in the world. I hope the professors will be able to unlock the secrets of this underground space. Is the mysterious world that sleeps underground finally about to be revealed to the world? You say, could it be like in the movies, where this underground space has creatures that have perished for some reason? I'm Grass, it's really possible. I'm looking forward to it. With Cheng Shifei's explanation, netizens in the live broadcast room gradually became curious about Bayou Village, and they were looking forward to the full face of this underground space. The preparations were completed, and a group of centaurs who had come to explore Bayou Village walked into the hole dug by the excavator. Because the hole was not on the ground, but on top of the entire space, they had to throw down the ropes and slide down them one by one. When they came to the surface, they were located in the outer wasteland of Bayou Village, surrounded by half-human tall weeds, which was really amazing. As early as before, there were special personnel who tested the air content of the underground space, which can be said to be better than the current urban air. There is no pollution, the oxygen content is sufficient, and I don't want to be a closed underground space at all. Look, everyone, we've come inside this mysterious underground space. After Song Jipeng finished speaking, he motioned for the photographer to lower his head and turn around, taking pictures of the entire space. Anchor, what are the people behind you doing? Why do you want to send a stick to the ground? Are you afraid that you won't be able to find the exit when you turn around? A netizen asked in the live broadcast room, and Su Yao, who always paid attention to the situation in the live broadcast room, smiled lightly when she saw it. The appearance of the beautiful fairy instantly attracted a wave of fans. No, the signal in this mysterious underground space is unstable. In order to allow the majority of netizens to watch the live broadcast stably, our staff is placing signal enhancement devices. And not only will we install it at the door, but we will also install a signal booster every distance we walk. I understand. I deserve to be a top student of Beijing University, and I know a lot about Renmei. Upstairs, can you lick this? I'd like to call you the king of dog licks. Love, Miss Su Yao's voice is so good. Don't talk about it. The phone is in the water. I'm going to fix the phone. Upstairs, are you serious? After Su Yao showed up in the live broadcast room, the barrage was instantly crooked. Seeing so many licking dogs, Su Yao's mouth unconsciously rose. If you have more fans, you can become famous, so it is much easier to make your debut or find a big one. After that, I don't have to go to work or go to a dark and damp tomb. Su Yao looked ahead, as if the world of celebrities was beckoning to her. In the underground space, a group of people moved slowly. 8 heavily armed soldiers in front of them opened the way, and 8 soldiers in the back broke off, and the professors, the protectors of all directions, could not guarantee whether there was any danger in this mysterious underground space. Because of the weeds everywhere, the people in front need to open the way, so the speed of the whole team is very slow. In order not to let the audience in the live broadcast room get bored, under the instruction of Professor Yuan, Song Jipeng began to talk about some information about the underground space. Before we set off, we had already used drones to survey this space, but because of the signal, the drones could not operate when they entered this underground space, but from the entrance, we could see an ancient village. Although the houses in the village are dilapidated, you can still see the outline. These buildings have small proportions of dugong and slender columns, presenting a restrained but steady and rigorous style, so I can conclude that the ancient village in the center was built during the Ming Dynasty. Song Jipeng explained vividly, and the live broadcast room suddenly praised continuously. He is worthy of being a top student in the Department of Archaeology of Shanghai Peking University, and he knows more than us. 666. The anchor is very knowledgeable and handsome. Oba, I'm going to give you a monkey. Don't say anything, tip and go. Is it an ancient village in the Ming Dynasty? If there are antiques, it should be very valuable, right? It's already on the plane. The treasure hunt is off. Upstairs, on the plane, what did you think of the live broadcast? In other words, both of the anchors are top students of Shanghai Beijing University, and they are really pillars of the country if they can be admitted to Shanghai Beijing University. The friend who wanted to see the ancient creatures just now was disappointed. This underground space was formed during the Ming Dynasty, ha ha ha. The praise in the live broadcast room made Song Jipeng's vanity explode, and then he looked high. I don't agree with the words of this friend in the live broadcast room. Either he is admitted to Beijing University or a pillar of the country, just like one of my classmates. Song Jipeng said in a regretful tone. One of my classmates, as for the name, I won't say it. He thought that he was admitted to Beijing University and began to degenerate, abandoned his studies, and slept unscrupulously when he took professional classes. There was a joke a few days ago. He was caught sleeping by Professor Yuan during class, and Professor Yuan gave him the opportunity to answer a simple question, and if he answered correctly, he would not be credited. It just so happens that I will also take this question today to test the friends in the live broadcast room, and it will be entertainment. May I ask what is the name of the largest force in the late Ming and early Qing dynasties, except for the Qing government, and how many soldiers and horses did Huang Taiji send to exterminate this force? Needless to say, the biggest force must be the Red Flower Society. As for how many soldiers and horses, I don't know. It should be the Heaven and Earth Society. No soldiers and horses were sent to exterminate it. It was all solved by Wei Xiaobao alone. God Wei Xiaobao, You've watched too many TV dramas upstairs. It should be the remnants of the Ming dynasty. No, 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 it should be me who blew up the sky. It's Hongmen. Huang Taiji sent 30,000 soldiers and horses to exterminate Hongmen. Congratulations to this friend in the live broadcast room for answering correctly, but unfortunately there is no reward. Song Jipeng didn't expect that someone in the live broadcast room would really be able to answer this question, and he was surprised, thinking that someone was selling literature in advance than himself, and he was immediately disappointed. Friend who answered correctly just now, are you also engaged in the archaeology industry? It's not. Song Jipeng was even more surprised. Is the archaeological community so involuted now? Then how do you know the answer? Because I'm one of the members of the Hongmen. Hee. Do you think I will believe it? You just said that the Hongmen have been destroyed. How can you be a member of the Hongmen? Seeing that the two people in the live broadcast room were really arguing, Song Jipeng just wanted to open his mouth to show off literature, but when he saw that Su Yao wanted to speak, he quickly closed his mouth and leaked a flattering smile to Su Yao. He has been coveting Su Yao for a long time, and it is rare to have a chance to get along. Friends in the live broadcast room, don't argue. The netizen just now may not really be deceiving. He is indeed a member of Hongmen. Although it is said that Hongmen was destroyed by Huang Taiji, it was revived in the later period, and made great contributions when fighting against the Sakura country, and until now, Hongmen still exists, but the scope of activities is just outside the borders. Ha ha ha, so that's the case. Miss Su Yao knows a lot. Love, this is the beauty of Beijing University? I just want to know how the sleeping student answered. Song Jipeng saw someone asking in the live broadcast room, and leaked a smile. That classmate said that the biggest force is a village. The name is Bayu Village. And Huang Taiji sent 100,000 elite soldiers to die with Bayu Village. Alas, maybe that classmate has no concept of the number of 100,000. Song Jipeng frowned, looking regretful, and successfully installed a wave of good people in the live broadcast room. At the same time, Zhang Yi took a 3-day vacation from Shanghai University and is now in a hospital. This hospital is the same place where he saw a doctor some time ago, and the purpose of coming here is to pick up the doctor who treated him. Putting on the refined disguise mask, Zhang Yi swaggered into the doctor's office with a travel suitcase. The doctor was looking at the medical records, and as soon as he looked up, he saw a knife gradually enlarge in his vision, and then over his own head. Bang! There was a bang, and the doctor collapsed on the table. I'm sorry, Dr. Zhao, you can just take me to Bayu Village for a day trip. Picking up Dr. Zhao, who was lying on the desk, Zhang Yi stuffed him into the travel suitcase, and the action was frightening. I'll just wrong you first, and I'll compensate you when I get to Bayu Village. Zhang Yi clapped his hands, looked at the full travel box, and was satisfied with his masterpiece. In this way, Zhang Yi took Dr. Zhao out of the hospital in a bright light, and then handed over a taxi to Jingbai City. Trains and buses are not allowed. After all, these vehicles have to scan the luggage before getting on the train. As everyone knows, not long after Zhang Yi left, Dr. Zhao's exclusive nurse came to the office. The nurse called Dr. Zhao's number, and a mobile phone rang in the office. It turned out that Zhang Yi did not pay attention to Dr. Zhao's mobile phone on the desk when he took Dr. Zhao away. Dr. Zhao's mobile phone is here. I guess I'm out on errands. The little nurse muttered to herself and decided to wait. The wait was half an hour, and Dr. Zhao was never seen, and the patients who came to seek Dr. Zhao's treatment outside the office were already piled up. In the end, the little nurse had no choice but to mobilize her colleagues to look for Dr. Zhao in the hospital, and even found a few male colleagues to search the bathrooms of the hospital. The results were feasible, and Dr. Zhao could not be found in the entire hospital. In desperation, they had no choice but to drop the surveillance in Dr. Zhao's office. I don't know if I don't see it. I was shocked when I saw it. During the surveillance, Dr. Zhao was knocked unconscious by an ordinary-looking young man and then put into a travel suitcase. Is this kidnapping? Quick! Call the police. Yes, call the police. In a panic, the little nurse took out her mobile phone and called the police. Soon, 2 police cars drove into the First People's Hospital of Shangjing City. Team Zhang, we compared the faces in the surveillance, and we didn't find this person in the database. In addition, We checked the entire office and found the fingerprints of 13 people, which are now being compared by the technology department. Well, okay, let me know as soon as there is news. Also, go and investigate the surveillance near the hospital. The kidnapper of Dr. Zhao swaggered out like this, and the surveillance will definitely be able to photograph it. Team Zhang rubbed his temples. He had already looked at the surveillance in Dr. Zhao's office. The person who kidnapped Dr. Zhao in the video obviously came prepared and was familiar with Dr. Zhao's office, which is likely to be an acquaintance. Dr. Zhao spent almost all of his time in the hospital, and the open rate of disputes with him was patients, which means that this case is likely to be caused by doctor-patient disputes. Captain Zhang's mind was spinning, and he was thinking about the motive for this case. Xiao Li, you go to the hospital to inquire if Dr. Zhao has had any conflicts with patients in the hospital recently, or has there been any medical malpractice? Okay, I see. How's the out-of-hospital surveillance investigation? Team Zhang, as you might expect, we found the kidnapper of Dr. Zhao in the surveillance outside the hospital. He got into a taxi, and then wanted to drive outside the city. Did you get the license plate number of the taxi? Got it. Well, contact a colleague in the transportation department and find the taxi. Okay. Soon, Team Zhang met with the person in charge of the First People's Hospital of Shangjing City. After some inquiry, Team Zhang was a little confused. According to the person in charge of the hospital, Dr. Zhao belongs to the psychiatric department, and most of the patients he faces are people with mental illness. As for medical malpractice, it has not occurred in Dr. Zhao's career. Because those who were cured went home, and those who couldn't be cured were admitted to psychiatric hospitals, there was no medical malpractice at all. Wasn't it caused by medical malpractice? Just when Team Zhang was puzzled, the door of Dr. Zhao's office was pushed open again. Team Zhang, colleagues from the transportation department have replied. They have found the taxi and controlled it, and the person who kidnapped Dr. Zhao is still in the car. Okay. Where are they now? In Keihoku City. Immediately contact our colleagues in Kyunghoku City, bring the kidnapper under control, and we will go to Kyunghoku City immediately. Team Zhang didn't think about Zhang Yi's motive for committing the crime. Anyway, the person had already been caught, so just ask in person. In Jingbai City, Zhang Yi was sitting in a taxi, and the taxi driver was pulling out a cigarette for two traffic policemen. The driver really can't figure it out. As long as there is no violation of the law, the traffic police will not check the taxi. But today, as if he was nervous, he kept checking his documents and said that he had violated the traffic rules and made him wait for a ticket. Isn't that a joke? He drove for more than 10 years, and he didn't even have a small scratch. How could he break the traffic rules? Zhang Yi sat in the car and frowned. He always felt that something was wrong with these two traffic policemen, although he was punishing the driver, but the corner of his eye always glanced at himself unconsciously. Has the matter been exposed? Zhang Yi thought about Dr. Zhao in the trunk. How long has it been? The hospital shouldn't have found it. It only takes about an hour and a half to drive from Kamikyo City to Keihoku City, and isn't it normal for a person to go missing for more than an hour? Master driver, can you deal with it quickly? I'm in a hurry. Zhang Yi's face was not red, and his heart was not beating, and he said to the taxi driver. Sir, wait a minute, I'll take care of it. After the taxi driver finished speaking, the smiling traffic policeman said, Comrade, you see that my passengers are already waiting patiently. You can rest assured that you can punish you as you want. Can you let me send the passengers to the place first, and then I will deal with the ticket? No. The two traffic policemen said in unison. Can they let this taxi go? They have received the task, and they must stop this taxi quietly, especially a young passenger inside, and drag it until the public security organ arrives here. Can't wait any longer. Since cultivating the divine skill, Zhang Yi's sixth sense has also become more sensitive than ordinary people, and as time went by, the sense of crisis in his heart has become heavier and heavier, as if it is too late to leave. How much is the driver's master? I'll pay you the fare. Anyway, there are only a few streets left from the destination. I'll go there myself. After speaking, Zhang Yi took out cash and prepared to pay, and the taxi driver was also overjoyed when he saw this. Originally, I thought that the passengers who would pay for the delay on the road complained, and finally lost their wife and soldiers, but they didn't expect to be able to collect the toll this time. It's a total of 236 yuan, handsome guy, you just give me 200, I'm embarrassed. It's okay, it's not your fault. Zhang Yi took out 200 yuan and handed it to the taxi driver, and then got out of the car and went to the trunk. Haha, little brother, there aren't many young people like you who want to use cash. Seeing that Zhang Yi was leaving, the two traffic policemen glanced at each other, and one of the chubby traffic policemen said to Zhang Yi. They remembered their own tasks, so how could they easily let Zhang Yi go? Isn't this the cash that someone changed for me 2 days ago? I'm afraid that it will fall off in my waist, so I spend it quickly. Zhang Yi spoke over and over again, and took out the suitcase containing Dr. Zhao from the trunk of the taxi. The action of carrying the box in one hand made the two traffic policemen look frightened. They were notified, but the suitcase contained an adult man weighing 80 kilograms, but they didn't expect it to be carried out by Zhang Yi with one hand, and it didn't look like it was struggling at all. I'm afraid the world weightlifting champion will be embarrassed when he sees it. Sir, where are you going? Since it's because of the trouble we have caused you, let my colleagues send you there. The fat traffic policeman said that he wanted to follow him as much as possible without alarming Zhang Yi. No need, it's not that far away anyway, I'll just walk over. Zhang Yi pulled the travel box and walked forward. The two traffic policemen glanced at each other, and they knew that it would be too late if they did not act. After a second or two of eye contact, the two did not speak, and rushed towards Zhang Yi in unison. Since they could not delay the arrival of their colleagues from the public security organs, they decided to strike preemptively and subdue Zhang Yi while he was not paying attention. It's a pity that their ideas are good, but since Zhang Yi cultivated the divine skill, all his senses have improved significantly. When the two traffic policemen rushed towards Zhang Yi, although Zhang Yi turned his back to them, he had already noticed it. Zhang Yi turned around suddenly, looking at the two traffic policemen who rushed towards him quickly. He jumped back slightly, avoiding the arrest of the two traffic policemen. What do you mean, two? Zhang Yi asked with a frown. He still had the answer in his heart. Sir, please put down your suitcase and come with us. We now suspect that you have something to do with the case. Help the traffic police take out the baton pinned to his waist and point it at Zhang Yi. It looks like it's been discovered. Zhang Yi is not a fool. When the matter is here, he naturally knows that the matter of taking Dr. Zhao has been known to the police. If I say no, Zhang Yi looked at the two traffic policemen not far from him with interest. If they were armed with a gun, Zhang Yi might still be afraid of 3 points. After all, the talisman weapon he refined could only block a bullet once. Then don't blame us for being rude, you're resisting law enforcement. After speaking, the two traffic policemen approached Zhang Yi again. Zhang Yi ignored them, and instead turned around and ran into the distance. He refined a lot of magic weapons before setting off, and the shoes he wore under his feet were also one of them. The function was to make the whole body light, greatly increasing the speed of the wearer's movement. All he had to do now was to go to Bayou Village and erase Dr. Zhao's amnestics about himself, and then he could get out safely. After all, he was wearing a disguise mask now, and no one would be able to find him after he was done. In a few seconds, with the blessing of magic weapon shoes, Zhang Yi left the two traffic policemen behind him for dozens of meters. Just when Zhang Yi came to the intersection, 3 police cars suddenly rushed out and cut off the road where Zhang Yi was going. Zhang Yi did not hesitate, his legs were slightly forced, he jumped directly from the police car and continued to run towards Bayou Village. His jump was more than 3 meters high, and the pedestrians on the side of the road were dumbfounded one by one when they saw it, suspecting that they were dazzled. How can anyone jump 3 meters high without the help of external forces, and carry a suitcase? After a moment of surprise, the police drove the police car and chased after Zhang Yi. As for the two traffic policemen, after seeing the arrival of their colleagues from the public security organs, they did not continue to catch up. With the speed that Zhang Yi showed just now, they couldn't catch up, so they simply returned to the taxi driver's side. Master, it's none of your business, just to delay that criminal's time. If it causes you inconvenience, please forgive me. Hearing this, the taxi driver breathed a sigh of relief. When the two traffic policemen went to arrest Zhang Yi just now, he probably punished himself. Haha, it's okay. Then, if the traffic police comrade is fine, I'll leave. Well, let's go. The fat traffic policeman waved his hand and signaled that the taxi driver could leave. On the other side, Zhang Yi ran quickly on the street with his suitcase. He looked around, but he couldn't find a small path, and the 4 or 2 police cars behind him blared their sirens and hurried after him. Because in the urban area, the traffic flow is relatively large, and the speed of the police car is greatly limited, but the speed is also about 60 yards per hour, but this speed will not be able to catch up with Zhang Yi for a while and a half. People in China have a hobby, that is, gossip. 3 police cars were speeding on the road, and they were also screaming wildly, which naturally attracted a lot of attention. When their eyes turned to Zhang Yi along the police car, their jaws dropped in shock. The fact that a person can run at a speed of 60 yards really breaks their worldview. Some young people unconsciously took out their mobile phones and began to shoot videos and posted them on the internet. Can you believe it? One person can reach 60 yards at speed? A new generation of flyers, I would like to call him the strongest. The city is shocked by the ancient martial arts masters, and the Eves are not a problem. Suspected aura revival, new supernatural people are hunted down. As a result, a large number of videos about Zhang Yi appeared on the internet. Zhang Yi didn't know about these, and now he was all focused on how to avoid the pursuit of the police. It won't be long before the magic weapon shoes under your feet will be scrapped, and after the speed is reduced, you will have to face the violent organs of the state. Why don't you kill Dr. Zhao directly? This will be much easier for you to escape alone. Such an idea suddenly popped into Zhang Yi's mind. Indeed, kill Dr. Zhao, so that no one will know about the dream he had before. Bang, bang, bang. Zhang Yi patted his face, secretly wondering how he could have such an idea. After all, it is a crime to kill people, after all, it is a criminal thing, and besides, Dr. Zhao has not done anything wrong, and he is very attentive to himself during his own medical treatment. If you kill people, then you are too inhuman. No way, keep running. Zhang Yi increased his speed again, wanting to get rid of the police car behind him. It didn't take long for the vehicle running side by side with Zhang Yi to start slowing down, and he looked at it and was immediately overjoyed. God help me. I don't know what the reason is, so all the vehicles stopped, and the space between the vehicles couldn't accommodate Zhang Yi and the suitcase at all. Zhang Yi jumped into the car with his suitcase in his arms, jumping and moving on the roofs of various private cars, and the police cars chasing after him could not come at all, so the policeman in the car had to get out of the car and not chase after him. Knock, knock, knock. Every time Zhang Yi jumped, a dent appeared in the roof of the private car. With the blessing of magic weapons and shoes, Zhang Yi's every jump is more than 10 meters away, and there will be 2 cars in the middle. Falling on the roof of the car, the huge sound frightened the owner of the car all over, and then rolled down the glass, looked up, only to see a figure passing over the car. On the other lane, a little girl saw Zhang Yi, and her originally pouting mouth suddenly became happy. Mama, hemp, look, this has super silver, look at it. The little girl pointed to Zhang Yi and said to the woman on the side, and the woman followed the little girl's fingers. Xiao Wen, you are naughty again. Superman or anything is a lie. There can be no Superman in this world, there can be a super. The little girl's mother's words came to an abrupt end, and following the direction of the little girl's finger, she saw a person jumping in a private car. It's not Superman, it's better than Superman. How? How could anyone be able to jump so high and so far? The little girl's mother covered her mouth, unable to believe what she was seeing. Again, this happened in many cars. It didn't take long for Zhang Yi to pass through the traffic jam area, and when he looked back, he had already thrown the police off. According to the map, Bayou Village is at the next 2 intersections. The magic weapon shoes were almost scrapped, but fortunately, the police had been thrown off, and with Zhang Yi's speed, he could reach the entrance of Bayou Village in 5 or 6 minutes. Running fast on the street, although he didn't use magic weapon shoes, his speed was still not comparable to ordinary people. Damn, how can there be police? Just as Zhang Yi was about to arrive at the intersection, he saw 6 policemen intercepting at the intersection. Go straight past them in one go. Zhang Yi opened the magic weapon shoes, adjusted his ability to the maximum, and prepared to jump over directly. Stop, don't move. The police officer in front saw the industry and scolded directly. Zhang Yi pouted when he heard it. This is the legendary confession of sitting under a lenient prison and resisting to go home strictly for the new year. Fools will stop. Seeing that Zhang Yi had the intention of stopping on the 4th, the policemen took out their guns from their waists and pointed them at Zhang Yi. If we don't stop, we're going to shoot. Seeing this, Zhang Yi hurriedly braked. Well, you've got a gun and you're amazing. Faced with 6 policemen with pistols, Zhang Yi chose to follow his heart. Let go of that suitcase, put your head in your hands, and crouch on the ground. 6 policemen gradually approached Zhang Yi with guns, and then a policeman cautiously came to Zhang Yi's side and took the suitcase away. The situation here also attracted the attention of passers-by, and they surrounded them one by one. When they saw the policemen holding guards in front of a person, their gossip heart was blazing, but they were forced by the deterrent power of the pistol, so they had to watch from a distance. A policeman put his pistol back on his waist and slowly opened his suitcase, before a figure appeared in front of the group. The policeman put his hand on Dr. Zhao's neck and made a tentative move. Captain, it's still alive. Phew. Suddenly, all the policemen breathed a sigh of relief, as long as the person was still alive. Putting Dr. Zhao behind him, the policeman came to Zhang Yi's side again, took out a pair of silver handcuffs, and kindly brought them to Zhang Yi. Call headquarters, the criminal who kidnapped Dr. Zhao has been arrested. Well, okay, we will send Dr. Zhao to the hospital for examination as soon as possible. After the captain of the 6-member team finished talking to the headquarters, he arranged for 2 people to send Dr. Zhao to the hospital for examination, while he and 3 other people escorted Zhang Yi back to the police station. 2 people will be responsible for watching Zhang Yi, 2 people will carry the unconscious Dr. Zhao to the car, and the other 2 will sit in the driver's seat and turn the police car open. Speaking of which, 2 little brothers, how about I perform a magic trick for you? Seeing that these policemen relaxed their vigilance because they had brought silver bracelets to themselves, Zhang Yi said with a smile to the 2 policemen guarding him. Honestly, don't throw any tricks. The police will not be accustomed to Zhang Yi, and let Zhang Yi stand honestly seriously. Hee. This magic trick is called breaking 2 bracelets with empty hands. What? Before the 2 policemen could react, they saw Zhang Yi exert his hands, and the silver bracelet on his wrist gradually deformed. Smack. The silver bracelet broke off in response, and before the 2 policemen could redraw their pistols, they were subdued by Zhang Yi and knocked to the ground. Someone in the surrounding crowd screamed, attracting the attention of 4 other policemen. They hurriedly took out their pistols and wanted to aim them at Zhang Yi. But they were too close to Zhang Yi, and they were still carrying Dr. Zhao, so they were finally 1 step slower. Zhang Yi opened the magic weapon shoes, and came to Dr. Zhao in just an instant, and knocked the policeman carrying Dr. Zhao unconscious with 2 hand knives, and then picked up Dr. Zhao who was about to fall to the ground, and jumped into the crowd. The other 2 policemen had already pulled out their pistols and stepped out of the car, but they did not dare to press the trigger. Now Zhang Yi is in the crowd, they don't dare to shoot, in case they accidentally injure civilians, they can't afford this responsibility when the director comes. When the crowd saw Zhang Yi, who dared to attack the police, come to their side, they were immediately frightened, and a few brave people didn't run far, and took out their mobile phones to take pictures. Zhang Yi didn't care about the fleeing crowd, he came to the middle of the crowd, not much so that the remaining 2 policemen would not dare to shoot. Now that his goal had been achieved, he turned around, and the first 2 policemen waved goodbye triumphantly, and then jumped towards the entrance of Bayou Village. Damn. Call HQ. Call HQ, kidnapper has escaped. Call for support, ask for support. The captain of the 6-person team picked up the walkie-talkie and reported unwillingly. He was recounting what had just happened, only to hear a bang not far away, and he subconsciously looked over. Call headquarters, you don't need support, please arrange for an ambulance to come to me as soon as possible. Just now, the kidnapper who was on the run was hit by a small cargo truck and is now lying on the ground, his life and death unknown. After saying that, 2 policemen hurriedly drove to the scene of the accident. A small truck was parked on the road, the front windshield had been completely shattered, and the front of the car was also sunken in a large hole. Judging from the damage to the small truck, the possibility of survival after the impact is almost 0. 7 or 8 meters away from the small truck, Zhang Yi was lying on the ground, and Dr. Zhao was lying next to him. The two policemen observed the scene of the accident and frowned when they saw the small truck that had been damaged and Dr. Zhang Yi and Dr. Zhao lying on the ground. Something is wrong. Something is very wrong. The two people were hit by a small cargo truck and flew 7 or 8 meters, but the two people lying on the ground did not shed blood, and even their clothes were intact. The two policemen glanced at each other, saw the solemnity in each other's eyes, took out the pistol on their waists, and slowly approached Zhang Yi. This situation was very puzzling to the onlookers. When the public security officers came to the scene of the car accident, they did not check the listing of the person who was hit, nor did they arrest the person responsible for the traffic accident, but instead took out a pistol and aimed it at the person who was hit. What's going on? These two policemen can't be in bad heads, right? In this case, how do you feel that the person who was hit has committed a crime? Holding a gun and pointing it at a person who was knocked unconscious by a cargo truck, the current public security organs are getting more and more alive. Don't say that, there may be reasons we don't know. The onlookers were full of discussions, puzzled by the performance of the two policemen. At that moment, a hand suddenly rose from the ground. Zhang Yi slowly sat up from the ground. "Ma Dan, I was in a hurry, and I didn't pay attention to the side." Rubbing his head, the ring on his left ring finger turned into ashes and disappeared. Now it's good, the magic weapon of protection is scrapped. Just when the small cargo truck collided with him and Dr. Zhao just now, the magic weapon automatic protector, although it was knocked away, was not harmed. "Don't move. We'll shoot if we move." Seeing Zhang Yi get up, although he was surprised that he was okay after being hit so hard, the two policemen did not forget their duties. "I'll go. You're chasing you." Zhang Yi looked at the two policemen and quickly took out a small whistle. This is also a magic weapon he refined, but because of the urgency of time, there is still a small flaw in this magic weapon that has not been repaired. As a last resort, he really didn't want to use it, thinking about the torture he suffered when he experimented with the power of this magic weapon. Zhang Yi beat a spirit. Putting the whistle in his mouth, Zhang Yi used the qi in his body to blow the small whistle. The sound of the whistle was so small that neither of the two policemen 7 or 8 meters away from Zhang Yi heard it. What is he doing here? The policemen didn't know why, and looked at Zhang Yi, who blew the whistle but didn't make a sound. The next second, they sensed that something was wrong. Almost instantly, they suddenly felt dizzy, and extreme nausea welled up in their hearts. What's going on? Why is it so uncomfortable all of a sudden? The two policemen fell to their knees at the same time, supporting their bodies with their hands. However, judging from their trembling arms, I am afraid that they will not be able to hold up for long before they fall to the ground completely. The two policemen looked around and noticed that it was not just the two of them, but all the people around them had the same reaction as them. Some people with poor physical fitness have already collapsed to the ground, and vomit keeps pouring out of their mouths. Looking at Zhang Yi again, he also had these symptoms, but because of the qi training, the discomfort of his body was much less than theirs. At least he could still stand and move slowly. This is also the reason why Zhang Yi is reluctant to use this small whistle. The sound waves emitted by the small whistle will affect creatures within a radius of 30 meters, and even if they are released, they will not be spared. "I'm sorry, you forced me to use the little whistle. Don't worry, you'll be back to normal in about half an hour." After saying it gently, Zhang Yi didn't care whether these people heard his words or not, and slowly walked towards the entrance of Bayou Village with Dr. Zhao in his arms. Fortunately, Dr. Zhao fell into a coma, so he did not receive a sonic attack from the whistle. After Zhang Yi left, he did not immediately go to the entrance of Bayou Village, but found a place to hide. Because of the use of the small whistle, his body is still surging with qi and blood, and his qi is not smooth. Bayou Village is located in the underground space, known by some as the ninth wonder of the world, and there are many professors exploring in it. There must be armed forces at the entrance, and the current state is not suitable for him to rush directly into it. Not long after Zhang Yi left the scene of the car accident, the official sent someone to take over the entire nearby area and sent all the people who fell to the ground to the hospital for examination. The intersection where the accident occurred was cordoned off to anyone unrelated. Inside, there were people in hazmat suits scrutinizing them. Some people are measuring the extent of the dent in the front of a small truck, some are collecting soil from roadside gardens, and some are even packing some vomit into bags to take away. In the center of the intersection stood a man with a Chinese character face wearing a police uniform, who was Fu Donghe, the second in command of the Jingbai City Police Station. Because of the arrest of a kidnapper, the members of the police force had accidents one after another, and in a hurry, he chose to go out in person. When he came to the scene of the car accident, he was also surprised. Within 30 meters of him were people who had fallen to the ground, and looking at the vomit on the ground, he wondered if someone had released biochemical gas here. More than 20 people fell to the ground and appeared to be poisoned, and their lives and deaths were unknown, which was a particularly serious case since the founding of the People's Republic of China. He immediately notified the bureau and technical personnel to conduct sampling and testing on a site, and at the same time reported the matter to the authorities. The matter escalated in his mind from a kidnapping case to a terrorist attack. Go investigate the surveillance and see what's going on here. Very open, the technicians brought by Fu Donghai checked the surroundings and did not detect any poisonous gas, and the people sent to the hospital were not in danger of life, so his tense spirit relaxed slightly. Because he couldn't find Zhang Yi, Fu Donghai went home. At the headquarters of the Jingbai City Police Station, Fu Donghai sat in the conference room, and the elites of the Jingbai City Police Station were sitting below. The projector in the conference room is playing a video, which is the monitoring of Zhang Yi being hit by a small cargo truck. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a case that happened today, and the cause was a kidnapping case in Shangjing City. Fu Donghai held a stick and pointed at a person on the screen. This person is none other than Zhang Yi, who was hit by a minivan and fell to the ground. This man is the one who started this case. Fu Ju, since he is a kidnapper, he was hit by a minivan in the video, and he should have been arrested by now. What do you mean by summoning us with great fanfare? Could it be that there is something else hidden in this case, that this person was just pushed to the surface? Wait, you just said the kidnapped person, didn't you find it? In the conference room, many people raised their doubts. No, look. Fu Ju moved the stick in his hand and pointed at another person lying on the ground. This person is the person who was kidnapped, a psychiatrist at the First People's Hospital of Shangjing City. This is the vehicle that caused the accident. Have you found anything wrong? The wooden stick in Fu Ju's hand moved again and landed on a small cargo truck. The people below looked at the projected picture carefully. They are also outstanding talents in various industries, and they quickly see the clues. Blood. No blood. And the two men lying on the ground are not in the right shape. The first to speak was Qin Hao, a forensic doctor at the Jingbai City Police Station. He has been engaged in autopsy work for many years and is very sensitive to the scene of the crime. Depending on the extent of the damage caused by the minivan impact, the person hit will definitely cause internal bleeding and comminuted fractures. Then there will be blood coming out, but in the video, there is no blood on the ground except for the wreckage of the minivan, which is too unbelievable. What's even weirder, and the most overlooked, is that the body shape of the two people is no different from normal people. In such a serious car accident, it is the body that will be distorted by the impact. But the two people on the ground didn't even have wrinkles in their clothes. Forensic Dr. Qin is right. Let's continue to watch. The next scene is a little beyond imagination. I hope you can watch it calmly. After speaking, Fu Ju pressed the remote control in his hand, and the picture in the video began to change. I saw Zhang Yi stand up straight, like a person who was fine, and then took out a small whistle and blew it gently, and all the people around him vomited and fainted. What the hell is this? Black technology? Is it okay if someone gets hit? Unbelievable? Someone in the conference room kept exclaiming, only Qin Hao frowned thoughtfully. It's infrasound. Qin Hao was suddenly afraid of his thighs and said it loudly. Fu Ju's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he hurriedly asked, Forensic Dr. Qin, what do you mean by infrasound? Infrasound is a kind of sound that cannot be heard by humans, and everyone should know this common sense, but the second infrasound wave can cause damage to the human body. The light ones are dizzy, vomiting and fainting, and the heavy ones are dying instantly when the internal organs are ruptured. The kidnapper in the video should have used an infrasound attack, but as far as I know, this attack method is being studied by various countries in the world, but there are no results. How can this person in the video have a finished weapon? Well, sure enough, it was the right thing to do to call you together. I think this little whistle in the kidnapper's hand should be an unfinished work. "This is," said Song Yuru, a psychologist in the police station. She works in psychology and is able to observe the most subtle facial movements of each person. You see, when he blew the whistle in this kidnapping, his facial expression, his brows were slightly wrinkled, his lower lip was raised, and his mouth was slightly open, which obviously also looked like he wanted to vomit, but he forcibly endured it, and when he left, his steps were not heavier than normal. Obviously he was unwell, which means that this little whistle also had an effect on him. A weapon that deals damage to the user is not a finished product. After Song Yuru finished speaking, the others nodded, expressing their agreement with Song Yuru's statement. "That payment bureau, I have a question. Since the kidnapper showed his face in the surveillance, why didn't you give us his information?" This. Fu Donghai's face was ugly. "We don't have this person's information, although he showed his face, but we can't find this person in the database." What? Everyone was taken aback, even more surprised than seeing Zhang Yi get up from the ground just now. If you were to use the current technology, you could find it in the national database as long as you were an individual. The people in the room were silent as they explained. Apparently they are digesting this unimaginable news. "Ladies and gentlemen, there are many kinds of news that we can't find this person, such as he is not from the Dragon Kingdom. He has had plastic surgery or disguise. I believe that as long as we work together, we will be able to catch him." Fu Ju, for the possibilities you mentioned, I prefer the first one. If it is plastic surgery or disguise, then I will definitely be able to see artificial traces on his face, but the kidnapper's face in the video is in a purely natural state. Qin Hao said firmly, "He is a forensic doctor. He is more familiar with the structure of the human body than any doctor. If Zhang Yi's face has moved, he can see it at the first time." "I agree with forensic Dr. Qin." Song Yuru lifted the glasses on the bridge of her nose and said, "You all know that I studied psychology, and psychology can guess what the other party is going to do through the other party's micro-movements. But when I watched the surveillance video just now, the kidnapper's facial expression was very natural, and it didn't look like he had moved at all. So I don't think this kidnapper is from the Dragon Country, or the remote mountainous area has no census." After Song Yuru finished speaking, Fu Donghai nodded, saw that no one spoke, and clicked on a video. "We'll discuss this later, and now there are 2 more videos for everyone to watch. Whether you can find clues in the video depends on everyone's efforts." Next, Fu Donghai played a video of Zhang Yi kidnapping Dr. Zhao at the First People's Hospital of Shangjing City and a video of escaping police pursuit in Jingbai City. This. How could it be? There were constant exclamations in the conference room, from Zhang Yi's jumping 3 meters high to breaking the handcuffs with his bare hands, and finally moving on the roof of a private car, jumping more than 10 meters each time, which is not something that people can do at all. You say, is it possible that this kidnapper is not human? Someone in the conference room said cautiously. Fan Shiwa, what do you mean by this? As a public official, you still want to engage in feudal superstition? Fu Donghai said to Fan Shiwa with some displeasure when he heard this. No, you may have misunderstood me. I mean that this kidnapper is a robot in human skin, so that you can explain why this face can't be found in the big data, and why he can jump 3 meters high and 10 meters away, and he can be hit by a minivan, it's fine, and it can explain why he has an infrasonic weapon. Fan Shiwa glanced at Fu Donghai, who was in deep thought, and then continued. After all, robots have appeared, and an unfinished infrasonic weapon is not too much. After Fan Shiwa finished speaking, the entire conference room fell silent again, and it didn't take long for Qin Hao to overturn his thoughts. This man can't be a robot, he's definitely a real person. Please give me the remote control. Qin Hao got up and came to the projection screen, holding the remote control and wooden stick handed over by Fu Donghai. Such an abnormal case completely aroused Qin Hao's interest. He tuned the video to the moment when Zhang Yi was hit by a minivan. You see, the moment this kidnapper was knocked into the air, something flashed by him. As he spoke, Qin Hao pressed the pause button. I saw that in the screen. Zhang Yi and Dr. Zhao touched a small or, at this time, an arc-shaped light close to their bodies. I suspect that the kidnapper was hit by a car and that nothing had anything to do with the light. Of course, this is not enough to overturn Fan Shiwa's idea. Look at it again. As he spoke, Qin Hao switched the screen, and it was when Zhang Yi broke the handcuffs. Have you noticed this man's wrist? When he broke the handcuffs, There was a red mark on his wrist, which is a phenomenon caused by the friction of human flesh and hard objects, and it is impossible for a robot wearing human skin to do this. And here, the screen jumped again, and on the screen was the picture of Zhang Yi leaving after the small whistle. As Professor Song Yuru said, in this place we can see that this person is affected by infrasonic weapons, and if it is a robot, why is it interfered with by infrasound? To sum up, I think this is an ordinary person with black technology, but he has some technology in his hands that we have not seen and cannot understand. For example, shoes that increase the bouncing power, and protectors that resemble energy shields. Qin Hao's head was the Dao, and Fu Donghai nodded frequently when he listened. Guys, is there anything else you'd like to say? Fu Donghai looked at the people in the conference room expectantly. Fu Bureau, you have been discussing for a long time. Have you ever thought about the motive of this kidnapper? It was Ji Yuishan, the captain of the Jingbai City Criminal Police Detachment, who had been in office for 10 years and had cracked countless criminal cases, so Fu Donghai naturally called him over to attend this meeting. After watching these surveillance videos, I have a few thoughts. The first thought is that this kidnapper and the kidnapped Dr. Zhao know each other, and that the kidnapper suffers from mental illness. This can be judged from the clinic to which Dr. Zhao belongs. Dr. Zhao is a psychiatrist, and the patients he comes into contact with on weekdays are more or less suffering from mental illness. Think about it, would a normal person swagger and kidnap people, and then he doesn't extort money, just wanders the streets? As for things like infrasound and being hit without incident, I think it may be that this kidnapper researched it himself, and he couldn't find this person in the big data. Is it possible that this person deleted himself in the big data? After all, from ancient times to the present, most of the outstanding talents in history are a little different from the spirit of ordinary people. Of course, the above is just a guess on my part. There is another possibility, which I only thought of when I saw this kidnapper use an infrasonic attack and then take him to the doctor. Have you noticed? Whether you're being chased by our colleagues, hit by a minivan, or finally leaving, this kidnapper has to take Dr. Zhao with him from beginning to end. Is this fair to say that this kidnapper cares about Dr. Zhao very much? So, this kidnapper kidnapped Dr. Zhao with a clear purpose. Also, I've solved many kidnappings before, and they're all in the same city without exception. But this time is different. This kidnapper is crossing a city with a target. Does this mean that he needs to take Dr. Zhao to Jingbai City? Combined with Dr. Zhao's identity, I think there should be a patient in Jingbai City who needs Dr. Zhao's treatment, and this patient can't see the light, so Dr. Zhao was kidnapped instead of invited over. Or maybe this patient has no money to see a doctor, so he can only be treated in this way. The above is my reasoning, so I suggest that you can investigate the people in Keihoku City who have mental illness and are not being treated. After Ji Yuishan finished speaking, he looked at Fu Donghai. I saw Fu Donghai rubbing his temples, and he was very uncomfortable now. The meeting has lasted until now, and it can be said that there has been a great breakthrough, or it can be said that there has been no breakthrough. Until now, they have not found the true identity of the kidnappers. Guys, there's some truth to what you're saying, but that doesn't help us catch this kidnapper. Next, I hope you can say some useful information for the arrest of criminals. Fu Bureau, I think I can start with the suitcase that this kidnapper is carrying. In the video, we can see that the kidnapper carried the suitcase until he was captured by our colleagues and escaped, and then abandoned the suitcase in its place. This question was raised in the room. Fu Donghai heard that the color behind him was even more ugly, and he said with a wry smile, I checked it, but we didn't find any fingerprints on the suitcase, and we didn't even find sweat-fat body fluids. This is very strange. The kidnapper in the video did not wear gloves the whole time. He fled in a hurry, did not clean up the traces on the suitcase. How can there be no fingerprints? Although it is winter, there will inevitably be metabolites in the palms of his hands, and this cannot be found? The person who spoke was very unwilling. He said that these were important clues, and they were also clues that no matter who would leave a trace. Yes, although I don't believe it either, but that's the truth. There are no gloves and no fingerprints, that is, this person has smoothed out the fingerprints on the entire palm? This is a ruthless man, and he is also a smart man. It seems that he has been planning to kidnap Dr. Zhao for a long time. Ji Yuishan muttered, but he didn't know that Zhang Yi actually had a layer of gloves on his hands, which was a small magic weapon he refined overnight. The purpose was not to leave these traces. I have a question. At this time, at the back of the conference room, a little girl raised her right hand in a reluctant. Her name is Han Xin. She just came to the Jingbai City Police Station for an internship, and she was not qualified to enter this meeting, but her master Gu Yuishan brought her in on his own initiative in order to let her learn more. Are you? Fu Donghai looked at Han Xin suspiciously. He had the impression that there was no such number one person in the bureau. Fu Bureau, this is my student. I just came to the bureau yesterday, and I am a top student of the National Defense University. I might as well listen to Han Xin's opinion? Yes, Xiao Han, you don't have to be nervous, you can say whatever comes to mind. Fu Donghai did not despise Han Xin because she was an intern. A top student of the National Defense University should have different opinions from others. And when you just enter the police station, you won't be limited by the old ideas, and maybe you can really make a good suggestion. At this time, Fu Donghai was a bit of a dead horse as a live horse doctor. I would like to ask, can the taxi driver who came to Keihoku City with the kidnapper still be found? Han Xin said what he thought. Find that taxi and let the driver. Fu Donghai and the people in the conference room couldn't help but think about it when they heard Han Xin's words. Smack. Smack. Two slaps sounded in the conference room, and it turned out that Fu Donghai and Gu Yuishan slapped themselves at the same time. Yes, find that taxi driver. How did they not think of this? The taxi driver didn't break the law, just an ordinary driver, and there is a taxi license plate number in the video, so it's easy to find him. Such a simple thing was not expected by the elites of their entire conference room, but in the end it was brought up by an intern, which is really a slap in the face. The people in the room are smart, otherwise they wouldn't be the elite of various industries. And they're reacting now. If you find the taxi driver, you will be able to find out where the kidnapper came to Keihoku City. Hurry, hurry. Contact a colleague from the Transportation Bureau and find the contact information of the taxi driver. Gu Yuishan said eagerly. Fu Donghai also reacted at this time, and he hurriedly took out his mobile phone and began to contact his colleagues in the Transportation Bureau. Soon, the other party sent a phone number, which was the contact information of the taxi driver. Fu Donghai excitedly dialed the phone, and at the same time clicked on the speakerphone, so that the entire conference room could be heard. As soon as the phone rang, the taxi driver answered the phone. Hey, hello. Hello. I'm Fu Donghai from the Jingbai City Police Station, and I have something I want to consult you about now. You say, my leader has informed me that whatever I know, I must know everything and say everything. Did you pull a guest with a suitcase from the entrance of the first-person hospital in Shangjing City today, and then came to Jingbai City? Yes. After coming to Keihoku City, the guest was chased by the police comrades, and I'm not his accomplice. I know. What I want to ask you is, do you know the destination of that guest? No, we have a record of taxi orders, I'll help you check it. Okay. I'm sorry for you. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Apparently the taxi driver was checking the information. Found it. The passenger's destination is the intersection of Changzheng Road and Qingnan Road. Okay. Thank you. Please keep the phone open at all times. We have something to do with Haihu to contact you. Okay, Comrade Police, don't worry, my phone will be open absolutely 24 hours a day. After speaking, Fu Donghai hung up the phone. After hearing Zhang Yi's destination, Gu Yuishan took out his mobile phone and didn't look for this location. Lao Ji, have you found this location? Where is the intersection of Changzheng Road and Qingnan Road? Got it, and this is at the next intersection where the kidnapper was hit by a minivan. And one more important thing. That location is the location of the newly discovered ninth wonder of the world, the mysterious underground space. What is he going to do there? You know, it was only found from the underground space, and now it has been taken over by the relevant state departments, and there is no one else in that place at all, and outsiders will definitely not be able to enter. Will it? That kidnapper's target is the underground space? At this time, Han Xin spoke again. Regardless of the purpose of that kidnapper, pay the bureau. Hurry up and contact the guards of the mysterious underground space to try to catch this kidnapper. Fu Donghai didn't say anything superfluous, took out his mobile phone and began to arrange manpower. Gu Yuishan was not idle, took Han Xin out of the conference room, and went straight to the location of Beiyu village. Let's talk about Zhang Yi. At this time he is leaving in a small alley not far from Beiyu village. After 2 hours of rest, he had calmed his qi and blood, and by the way, he temporarily refined a defensive magic weapon. Because of the tight time and limited materials, the defense of this magic weapon is not as good as the one damaged before, but it can also ensure that the bullet will not cause too much damage to Zhang Yi. It's time to go. Zhang Yi hugged Dr. Zhao, and during his rest, Dr. Zhao woke up once, and after being discovered by Zhang Yi, he was stunned with another hand knife. I guess now that this face has been exposed, it's time to change my face, not only me, but also Dr. Zhao. Zhang Yi took out 2 transparent masks as thin as cicada wings from his arms, and gently placed one of them on his face, only to see Zhang Yi's face change instantly. From an ordinary student face to a national character face. He then placed another mask on Dr. Zhao's face, and Dr. Zhao's face changed. His originally round face has now become a little resolute, and it is completely 2 people. After doing this, Zhang Yi picked up Dr. Zhao on his back, and then looked flustered. "Hold on, brother, you must hold on." As he spoke, he ran towards the exit where Beiyu village was. He didn't have to go far before the guards in charge of guarding the entrance to Beiyu village spotted him. "Stop, this is a controlled area, no idle people are allowed to enter." My brother Zhang Yi was out of breath, pretending to be so flustered that he couldn't even finish a sentence. At this time, the guards also saw Zhang Yi's situation. "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with the person on your back?" He's my brother, he's sick." Sickness? Hearing Zhang Yi's words, 2 people in the guard team hurriedly came to Zhang Yi's side. "Did you call 120? "No. My brother is acutely ill, and I can't figure it out when I go to the hospital." Zhang Yi looked anxious, with tears in his eyes, as if it was real. "My house is in front, and there is a special medicine at home." 555. Blame me for being negligent, I forgot to bring medicine when I went out. Brother, if you have 3 long and 2 short, I'm not going to live anymore. Zhang Yi's expression is true. Oscar owes him a little golden man. "Then hurry back, I'll help you carry your brother." A member of the guard checked the Dr. Zhao on Zhang Yi's back, and Dr. Zhao's face was flushed, which was not the blood color that a normal person should have, and almost believed Zhang Yi's words. "No need, my brother can't bump when he has this disease, I'll just carry it on my back." "Okay. Then you hurry over." Hearing the words of the guards, Zhang Yi hurriedly thanked him, carrying Dr. Zhao on his back as if he was running forward, and his footsteps gradually approached the big pit at the entrance of Beiyu village, intentionally or unintentionally. Zhang Yi ran in front with Dr. Zhao on his back, followed by 2 guards. Although they agreed to Zhang Yi passing through this area, it did not mean that they were unguarded against Zhang Yi. Just as Zhang Yi was about to arrive at the entrance of Beiyu village, the walkie-talkie of the captain of the guard team rang. "Team Hong, please note that a criminal should go to your area. If you find him, please arrest him as soon as possible. The criminal is suspected of having high-tech self-defense, and can break the handcuffs with his bare hands, so you must always pay attention. The photo of the criminal has been sent to your phone." After that, there was no more sound on the intercom. Team Hong took out his mobile phone, and the mobile phone was a photo of Zhang Yi before, and next to him was Dr. Zhao, who was in a coma. After seeing the photo, Team Hong frowned slightly. He had never seen the face in the photo, but he felt inexplicably familiar. "No." Team Hong looked at his phone, and then at Zhang Yi, who was walking towards the entrance of Beiyu village with Dr. Zhao on his back. Although their appearance is different, the clothes on their bodies are exactly the same. In the photo, there is a comatose person next to the criminal, and there is also a comatose person on the back of the person not far away. How can there be such a coincidence in the world? Wait. When Team Hong thought of this, his face changed greatly. "I don't know it, but now that I know about it, if I let the criminal slip away in front of my eyes, it will be a great shame in my career." The 2 guards who followed behind Zhang Yi suddenly stopped, turned to look at their captain suspiciously, and didn't know why. But Zhang Yi didn't stop after hearing it. The entrance of Beiyu village is close at hand, and stopping now will only cause more trouble. Team Hong also walked forward when he saw Zhang Yi, but his two team members stood stunned and looked at themselves, and they were immediately angry. "What are you two stunned about? Stop that guy!" Hearing Team Hong's words, the two team members reacted, and the two hurriedly turned around to stop Zhang Yi. Knowing that he had been exposed, Zhang Yi used the magic weapon shoes to run quickly. How could the two guards catch up with Zhang Yi? They could only watch him approach the entrance of Beiyu village. 10 seconds later, Zhang Yi came to a big pit, and below was the entrance of Beiyu village. This big pit was dug during the construction of the subway, and originally this was to build a 3-story subway entrance, but it just started construction, and it was dug to a depth of 30 meters to Beiyu village. In order to save time, Zhang Yi did not take the ladder dug out, but jumped deep and jumped down. This scene made the guards chasing Zhang Yi look at each other. Feelings. This person is here to commit suicide? This is more than 30 meters deep? Zhang Yi didn't know the expressions of the guards above, and now he had come to the periphery of Beiyu village. He didn't immediately go to the location of the furnace, but took out a small transparent ball from his bosom. Between them, Zhang Yi gently threw the small round ball towards the dome, and the transparent small round ball disappeared after touching the dome, which was amazing. This was prepared by Zhang Yi in advance. There is no one in this world who knows Beiyu village better than him, and he is the only one who knows how the underground space where Beiyu village is located is formed. In the dream, when Zhang Yi was dying, he refined the entire Beiyu village into a small underground world. This underground space is surrounded by an invisible barrier that no living creature can enter. This is the bones of Xuanyi in the dream, who doesn't want outsiders to disturb Beiyu village. But because of time, this barrier has become non-existent, and people from the outside can already enter it without hindrance. The small transparent ball that Zhang Yi threw out just now was similar to a battery, which could charge this layer of enchantment. In this way, it will be able to prevent people from outside from entering Beiyu village within an hour. An hour was enough time for Zhang Yi to erase Dr. Zhao's memory. Phew, as I expected, because of the enchantment, the aura in Beiyu village is much stronger than that in the outside world. Zhang Yi took a deep breath. The air was incomparably sweet, not comparable to the industrially polluted environment outside. Zhang Yi selflessly absorbed the aura in Beiyu village, and his strength that had risen rapidly in the outside world had improved by leaps and bounds at this moment. As Zhang Yi exhaled the aura, a breeze appeared in the entire underground space from the inside out. For a moment, Zhang Yi was lost in the pleasure of rapid improvement in strength, and forgot what he wanted to do when he came to Beiyu village. It was precisely because of the breeze formed by Zhang Yi's absorption of spiritual energy that it caused heated discussions among the researchers who had come down to study this space before. "You guys, do you feel the air moving?" Not far from Zhang Yi, Song Jipeng, who had already come down to explore Beiyu village, said. Just now, he felt a breeze blowing in his face. Airflow? Cheng Shifei, who was walking in front, stopped after hearing Song Jipeng's words. He carefully felt the change in the air. It's really windy, and it's getting stronger. Cheng Shifei showed a surprised expression. Professor Cheng, isn't it normal for wind to appear here? After all, this underground space is no longer sealed. Isn't it normal for wind to blow in from outside? Su Yao asked, puzzled. Song Jipeng smiled after hearing this, but did not speak. What Su Yao said does make sense, but the strange thing is that the wind direction in this underground space is wrong. To put it simply, the wind blows in from the entrance, then the wind should follow the direction they're heading, but now the wind is coming in head-on, which means that the wind in the underground space is always blowing in the center, and it is the wind generated by the underground space itself, not blowing in from the outside. So you're an archaeology student, and I'm studying geography. Cheng Shifei said with a smile. Xinxiang is his turn to pretend to be forced again. Ah no. When he first came to Beiyu village and saw Professor Yuan taking 2 students to conduct a live broadcast, Cheng Shifei had an idea in his heart. Like the Department of Archaeology, there are fewer and fewer students applying for the Department of Geography, and he also wants to use this live broadcast to arouse their enthusiasm for studying geography through this mysterious underground space. The wind is not blowing in from the entrance, because the wind is blowing in the opposite direction, and this wind is blowing outward from the center of this mysterious underground space. In fact, this kind of appearance is uncommon, but it can be explained. When I was in junior high school physics, my teachers probably said that the so-called wind is formed by the difference in atmospheric pressure in two locations. The underground space we are in now has just been opened, so the atmospheric pressure inside is different from the outside, so there is a breeze. Chang Shifei explained with confidence, but he didn't see Professor Yuan frowning. She has been conducting archaeological research for more than 40 years, and she has been in many large and small tombs, but there has never been a tomb that blows from the inside out. Although those tombs are not as large as the current underground space, and they are not as magical as this underground space, they are also completely enclosed. Professor Chang, I have a question. Professor Yuan, please speak. Since he had doubts in his heart, and it was related to the progress of the research on this underground space, Professor Yuan expressed the doubts in his heart. I've been to a lot of tombs before, and I haven't seen anything like that in those fully enclosed spaces. Also, this mysterious underground space was discovered yesterday morning, which means that it has been ventilated for a day and a night before we came down, and the atmospheric pressure of this underground space was different from that of the outside world when we first started, but this will definitely not happen now. And one more thing, why was there no wind when we first came down, and now suddenly there is a breeze? Professor Yuan put forward 3 points in one go. But seeing Chang Shifei's face became extremely ugly. You are here to smash the field, right? Chang Shifei thought for a moment and said, I still said just now, Professor Yuan, what you said has some truth. I don't refute it. You just need to take out your mobile phone and check if there is wind today. At this time, Chang Shifei bought a pass. Professor Yuan was not verbose and directly took out his mobile phone, and the reality on the screen was that there was a level 4 southwest wind in Jingbai City today. Professor Yuan checked the weather today, and others in his companion also checked. Su Yao couldn't help but say after checking it, but Professor Cheng, didn't you just say it? The wind here is not blowing in from outside, so what does it have to do with the wind outside? That's why the atmospheric pressure in this underground space is different from the outside world. It's still junior high school physics knowledge. A person standing on the edge of a speeding train, when the train passes, the human body will unconsciously approach the train. This is because the speeding train will be the surrounding atmospheric pressure will become smaller, thus forming a strong wind blowing towards the train, blowing the human body to the train. This is happening here right now, where the wind from outside blows through the entrance, causing the atmospheric pressure around the entrance to become less than the pressure in the underground space, so the wind blows through the center of the underground space. The more Chang Shifei talked, the more energetic he became, and he praised his own wit in his heart. I have to say that his explanation of this example is very reasonable. Professor Yuan nodded in agreement, and the netizens in the live broadcast room were even more enlightened. 666. The professor deserves to be a professor. Although the professor said that these are just junior high schools, the professor is just like me. I just don't know anything about junior high school now. If you are a person who can become a professor, this is the so-called learning from the past. When the wind came from the inside out, I thought there was something in this underground space. Now, after the professor's explanation, I suddenly feel that this is an ordinary underground space. It's a pity that I was a little excited just now, and after listening to the professor's explanation, everything became boring again. No, I don't believe that there must be something in this underground space that science can't explain. Brother, wash and sleep. Everything in the world can be explained by science. If it can't be explained, it can only be said that the current technology has not reached that level. Yes, the end of science is theology. Chang Shifei's eyes secretly aimed at the live broadcast room, and saw that many barrages were praising himself, and smiled with satisfaction. He was looking forward to the rest of the trip, and it seemed that geology was about to be restored to its glory in his hands. Hurry up, everyone, the image from the drone just now, you can get out of this bush forest in a short distance, said the man who opened the way in front. He is Sun Chang, the leader of the special team sent by the high level of the Dragon Kingdom, mainly to protect this group of scholars from being able to get out of this mysterious underground space safely. As for drones, it was not possible to use them in the underground space in the beginning. But when they came down, they installed a signal booster, and the range of a signal booster is about 200 meters, which means that the drone can move within 200 meters around the exploration team. Just now, the drone flying in front of the path sent back a photo. Not far from them, The bushes came to an abrupt halt, as if cut off by something, and the bare ground exuded a blood-red glow. Sun Chang didn't care, just thought that the land in front of him contained some special colored elements, which was not suitable for plant growth. After hearing Sun Chang's words, the exploration team couldn't help but be overjoyed. They had been walking among the bushes for an hour. It's not that the shrubs are too big, but that there are a lot of thorny plants growing in the forest, which are harder than the plants outside, and often take a long time to clear them, otherwise they would not be able to get through. Not only that, but in order to study why these plants are taller and harder than the outside world, they have to take some samples for each different plant they encounter, and even some soil for each distance. This is also an extremely slow movement. Friends, the drone just sent a picture, and we can get out of this damn bush not far away. Song Jipeng happily said in the live broadcast room that they walked in the bushes for more than an hour, and netizens watched it for more than an hour, and they were already a little tired. Song Jipeng was afraid that the netizens in the live broadcast room would feel bored to leave, so he hurriedly conveyed it to the netizens in the live broadcast room after getting the news. Alas, I'm finally going to get out of this bush, and I'm going to go out if I don't go out. Haha, I can finally see this ancient village in the underground space. I really want to see what the village where the ancients lived, and how it is different from us. Are you kidding upstairs? Are you wrong? The ancient village should be comparable to theirs? That's right. What kind of value does the ancient village have, and what is the value of their village? What I'm most curious about now is why do the plants in this underground space grow so big? Like that kind of black chianli is more than 2 meters tall, and it is only about 1 meter in the outside world. Hee, I really don't know about this, it doesn't match my major, but there are biology experts with us, why don't I ask for advice for you? Su Yao saw that there was a new problem in the live broadcast room and said with a helpful expression. This has attracted a lot of praise from licking dogs. Professor Hu, some netizens in the live broadcast room asked why the plants here are much bigger than the outside world, can you tell me why? The old man, who was called Professor Hu by Su Yao, did not shirk when he heard this, and walked to the camera very simply. Hello everyone, I am a biology professor at Longdong University of Technology, and my name is Hu Kankan. What? The professor of Longdong University of Science and Technology is the Thief Academy. Haha, I'm probably a graduate student, lying on the bed and unable to fall asleep, sitting up and looking at the 2 headphones at the head of the bed. One is not mine, and the other is not mine. Don't think about it upstairs, remember that you are a man, and you will only be fired. When will the man stand up? Everyone, I was admitted to Longdong University of Technology, but they told me that I had to steal the admission letter myself. It's been a long time since Polytechnic University even had a biology department. Please, can you be professional? What kind of biology does a thief teach at a holy academy? You are not doing your job. As soon as Hu Kankan appeared, the painting style of the entire live broadcast room suddenly changed, and he no longer talked about things related to underground space, and even the question of why plants were so tall was no longer discussed. Hu Kankan saw the barrage in the live broadcast room, and his originally proud face became extremely gloomy. What is it that this group of people has to do all day? Hu Kankan scolded secretly in his heart, he knew what he said in the live broadcast room. It's nothing more than a girl who accidentally took someone's headphones, and then was reported online by a group of people. Facts aside, isn't there anything wrong with the guy who put the headphones on the table? Netizens in the live broadcast room don't believe the rumors on the internet, every step of the school is the result of careful consideration. Hu Kankan had to explain in the live broadcast room. With false rumors, that Professor Hu, let me ask you, have the male classmates who stole things in your school been expelled? Yes, your school has been carefully considered, so the boys are expelled and the girls are retained. I have my eye on an Apple 13, do you think I can keep the research? Seeing that there was a collapse in the live broadcast room, Song Jipeng and Su Yao hurriedly stepped forward. After some amortization, the live broadcast room calmed down a little. Professor Hu, now that the live broadcast room is quiet, why don't you tell me about the reason for the crazy growth of plants in the underground space? Song Jipeng smiled wryly, for fear that Hu Kankan would throw his ass and quit in a fit of anger. Just as Song Jipeng was afraid, Hu Kankan really had the idea of not wanting to continue. Professor Yuan also saw Hu Kankan's strange appearance and hurriedly walked to his side. Professor Hu, I suggest that you explain the reasons for the crazy growth of plants in the live broadcast room, so that you can brush up your good feelings, and at least let some netizens eliminate their hostility towards you and the school. After Hu Kankan heard Professor Yuan's words, his eyes gradually lit up. If he can eliminate the hostility of netizens towards the school, he will be a great hero, and his status in the school will not rise at that time. I listened to Professor Yuan. After speaking, Hu Kankan once again walked in front of the live broadcast camera. Friends in the live broadcast room, in fact, according to my investigation, there is a reason for the crazy growth of plants in this underground space. Hu Kankan worked hard to make an approachable appearance, as if the barrage about Longdong Institute of Technology in the live broadcast room did not exist. For example, as we all know, in prehistoric times, plants and animals on the earth were generally very large, and we came to such a conclusion after studying paleontology, which is also known as the Kopfa rule. The prehistoric environment was more suitable for the life of large organisms in terms of oxygen content and pressure. When the oxygen content was high, the climate temperature difference was small, so the creatures could soar, and you look at this underground space, its environment is similar to that of prehistoric times. One of the things I noticed when we first entered the underground space was that the air was exceptionally fresh, and I could feel my body sublimating with every breath. If you don't believe me, you can ask these people around me. Hu Kankan turned his gaze to some scientific researchers around him. When they saw Hu Kankan's gaze, they all nodded. This is not a round for Hu Kankan. They nodded because what Hu Kankan said was true, and after they came in, they felt a change in their bodies. It's just that no one said it. They only thought it was their own delusion, and now Hu Kankan said it, making them realize that it is not they who feel this way, but everyone present. And the plants here are huge, and they can't be formed in a year or two. In a stable environment, natural selection always favors tall organisms, whether it is to obtain nutrients, to seize habitat, to defend against predators. As a result, larger plants are more likely to survive and leave offspring, and because of heredity, the offspring of large individuals also tend to be larger, and the advantages of survival and reproduction are preserved and consolidated from generation to generation. This is the law of survival in nature, the survival of the fittest. So, it's normal for plants in this underground space to be huge. Hu Kankan was very satisfied with his explanation, and when he was full of pride, thinking that he could eliminate some people's hostility towards the academy and become worshipping himself, Su Yao's voice sounded. Professor Hu, there are some netizens in the live broadcast room who are raising the bar. They said that why the plants on the blue star did not get bigger, it was also natural selection for the survival of the fittest. It's different. As soon as Su Yao's words were finished, Hu Kankan said something different. The environment on the blue star is different from here, because the oxygen content is higher here. Yes. But when we enter the underground space, don't we check the air content at the entrance, and the oxygen inside is basically the same as the outside? Su Yao asked rhetorically. You also said, it was just a test at the entrance of the cave, two places in nature that gather dozens of meters apart, and the air content is still different, not to mention that now one is at the mouth of the cave and the other is in the underground space. And there are many differences between underground space and the outside world, in addition to the difference in oxygen content. The biggest difference is the range of human activities. In recent hundreds of years, with the development of science and technology, transportation in all directions, most of the large creatures have been subjected to varying degrees of non-flinching and quantitative attenuation. In this case, it is good to survive, let alone get bigger. In this era, when humans replace nature, creatures will find that smaller size is conducive to survival, and humans are even more targeted at larger creatures, such as Siberian tigers, saltwater crocodiles, sperm whales, etc. Do you say that creatures will choose larger sizes? Dinosaurs and mammoths are dead and cannot be brought back to life, so that our children and grandchildren will no longer sigh. Why can't we see big creatures? We should protect our Blue Star home and protect our biological partners who live together on Blue Star. In the end, Hu Kankan did not forget to issue a persuasion to protect environmental protection creatures, which was used to show his personality charm. I have to say that what Hu Kankan said is very reasonable, and the last sentence is also very infectious, which greatly improved the senses of netizens in the live broadcast room. By the way, Professor, after what you just explained, I have already informed the people outside, and I believe that they will soon send an air detector to check the oxygen level in the air. Song Jipeng said flatteringly. Hu Kankan is a professor-level task, although it is different from his major, but it is absolutely not wrong to accumulate a network. After Hu Kankan heard Song Jipeng's words, he felt inexplicably uneasy in his heart. What he said just now was just his speculation, and now to confirm this speculation, his heart began to burst out. I have to say that although the reputation of Longdong University of Science and Technology is not very good, the professors in it are still level. Biology is not the strong point of Longdong University of Technology. The professors in it are so versatile. Longdong University of Technology deserves to be a 985 university. The professor is a good professor, but the leadership of the college is a bit of a bad person. Those of Heilongdong University of Science and Technology are just a bunch of dicks who can't pass the exam. That's it. What's wrong with our little fairy? We have already returned the wrong things, and if we don't thank you, we will accuse others of stealing things. That's it. Putting the facts aside, little fairy, you can't take the opportunity to lick it. You don't have any eyes at all. A bunch of stinky dicks. Longdong University of Science and Technology did the right thing, but it's a pity that I didn't fire that headphone man. Sisters, the latest news. The boy who lost his headphones has apologized. It's all the credit of the sisters. It's you who have fought non-stop on the internet to win the war. Hee. Justice will prevail. If you want me to say, the leaders of Longdong University will not do anything. In order to make up for the wounded heart of that little sister, they should be directly escorted to the master. Soon, the live broadcast room was occupied by a circle of little fairies, and if it was true, there were them wherever they could fight. In the underground space, despite the apprehension in the play, Hu Kankan did not show it. Checking the air composition of the underground space is definitely going to be checked, but now the priority is to go to the center of the underground space, the ancient village. Yes, netizens in the live broadcast room, you are about to see the ancient village where the ceremony is hundreds of years underground. Are you excited? Seeing this, Song Jipeng also hurriedly opened the topic. It was really the little fairy in the live broadcast room who couldn't stand it. A group of more than 20 people began to slowly advance through the bushes. Knowing that they would be able to walk out of the bushes after walking a short distance, everyone was full of energy, and the people who opened the road in front of them had significantly accelerated a lot. It didn't take long for them to emerge out of the bushes and into an eerie land that was bare, blood red. The crowd was speechless. Although I saw this blood-red land from the photos sent back by the drone just now, I was still shocked and speechless when I saw the real scene now. The blood-red earth lasted until the entrance of the ancient village more than 400 meters away, and this red color seemed to be like blood coming out when people stepped on it. The earth was bare, and there was not even a single grass, and it was like death. Friends in the live broadcast room, have you seen it? We have stepped out of the bushes, and now we are on the edge of this blood-red land. Song Jipeng said to the live camera, and then asked the accompanying cameraman to point the camera forward. Suddenly, the picture in the live broadcast room turned bloody. I've never seen a blood-colored earth. After watching it for a long time, I actually have a feeling that the screen is going to bleed. Weird. You say, will there be monsters down here? Just like in the movies, whenever a creature walks over here, the monsters hidden in the ground will come out and the creatures will pull down to eat, so this land is blood red. Upstairs, you've watched too many movies. How can there be that kind of creature in reality? Yes, absolutely impossible. I think maybe, if you look at the red ground, that blood red is definitely formed by the blood soaking for a long time. What's the noise? Isn't there a biologist on the scene? Just ask Professor Hu if there is a monster like in the movie. Someone in the live broadcast room asked Hu Kankan for advice, and for a while, most people looked at it as calling Hu Kankan. Not to mention, there is really a rush of 10,000 blood books. When Song Jipeng conveyed the thoughts of netizens in the live broadcast room to Hu Kankan suddenly felt happy. Sure enough, you have to look at yourself at the critical time. The last lecture has eliminated most people's hostility towards themselves, and if you give another lecture this time, wouldn't it be a direct whitewash to the academy? Alas, it's strange why I use the word whitewashing. Hu Kankan was puzzled, but it was important to explain to netizens, so he shook off the stealing and removed the distractions of words. Hu Kankan's head spun rapidly, and it didn't take long for him to organize his words. Everyone, first of all, it's impossible for an underground giant monster like the one just mentioned in the live broadcast room to exist. I say this for two reasons. First, the blue star we live in has gravity, and correspondingly, there is also atmospheric pressure. Giant creatures are already difficult to survive on the ground, and underneath, they have to withstand not only gravity and atmospheric pressure, but also a part of the gravity of the soil, in which case, it is impossible for animals larger than 50 centimeters to survive. Second, you weren't there, but I smelled iron at the scene, which shows that there is a lot of iron in this soil. In junior high school chemistry, it was said that ferric oxide, which is commonly known as rust, is red, and the red color of this land should be related to ferric oxide. And in the soil rich in ferric oxide, it is impossible for any organisms to survive in it. This is the reason why this land is bare and has no plants. When Hu Kankan said this, he unhurriedly took out a thermos cup and took a sip, full of university scholar posture. As the netizens in the live broadcast room said, if blood stains this land red, then the creatures needed are not one or two. If you take an adult man as a unit, it will take at least 70 or 80,000 people to have this effect. And most importantly, this mysterious underground space has been formed for hundreds of years, and when there are creatures underground, they will die out if there is no food and no nutrients to replenish it. So netizens in the live broadcast room can rest assured that there will be no danger in this land. Saying that, Hu Kankan is going to lead by example and set foot on this red land. However, before he could set foot on the red earth, he was pulled back by a powerful hand. It was really Sun Chang, the captain of the special squad, who came back. They came here to protect this group of scholars, and how could they put their lives at risk? Professor Hu, stand here and don't move. I'm going to show you the way. After saying that, as the captain of this special squad, he did not hesitate at all. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. Sun Chang walked cautiously on the red earth. It wasn't until he walked dozens of meters, and there was no danger, that he beckoned the others to come over. Even so, it was still 5 special soldiers who walked in the front, followed closely by scientific researchers, and at the back were the other 6 special forces. Friends in the live broadcast room, now you have also seen that this red land is not as dangerous as you imagined. It's really the same as Professor Hu said. The reason why this land is blood red is only that the apprentices contain ferric oxide, and there are no weird creatures in science fiction movies. Therefore, we have to believe in science. Professor Hu has studied biology for many years, and his statement will never be wrong. Song Jipeng quickly walked to the live broadcast camera and said, patting Hu Kankan's sycophants in his words. The team walked slowly, although it was temporarily determined that there was no danger, on time for the sake of safety. It was still Sun Chang and other 6 soldiers exploring the way in front. The team stopped and went, and from time to time Cheng would squat down and use a small shovel to dig out a bit of red dirt and put it in the bag. He was taking a sample so that he could test the red soil when he got back. Ah! Cheng Shifei, who was squatting on the ground, screamed. Everyone hurriedly turned to look at Cheng Shifei, between which he sat on the ground, supporting his body with both hands, and the samples that had been dug up were scattered all over the ground, revealing a white thing in front of Cheng Shifei. Professor Cheng, what's wrong with you? The first to react was Sun Chang, who was walking in the forefront, and he hurriedly ran back and came to Cheng Shifei's side. The special soldiers in charge of the rear of the hall also surrounded them. No. It's okay. After a long while, Cheng Shifei came to his senses. He got up from the ground and wanted to wipe the cold sweat on his forehead with his hand, but found that his palms were full of red soil, so he had to wipe his forehead with his sleeve. Is this a bone? Seeing that Cheng was fine, Sun Chang noticed the white thing under his feet. It's clearly a bone. Professor Cheng, borrow your shovel. After speaking, Sun Chang picked up the small shovel that Cheng Shifei threw away because of fright just now, and then said to the other special team members. You are on guard. Once you find something unusual, you will mainly protect the scientific researchers. Next, Sun Chang began to clean up the soil where the white bones were buried. Bang! The sound of metal colliding came, and when Sun Chang was in the dirt around the white bones, the small shovel touched a hard object. It's armor. After Sun Chang dug out the soil, a corner of the hard object was exposed, and Professor Yuan looked at it and immediately became excited. White bones, armor. Professor Yuan suddenly thought of the ancient soldiers. Captain Sun, let me come. Professor Yuan couldn't wait to lower Sun Chang's position. Since it is a share of ancient soldiers, it belongs to the scope of archaeology, and he will not let Sun Chang, a big old man, dig it. In case it is broken, she has no place to cry. Professor Yuan squatted in front of Sun Chang, took out the excavation tools of archaeology from the toolkit, and slowly excavated. Professor Yuan was very slow, and finally several other archaeologists who came with him also started to help. The camera focuses on Professor Yuan, Song Jipeng and others who are squatting on the ground. 666. I found a corpse before I entered the ancient village, and I still have to walk into the ancient village. It's strange why there is a soldier's corpse outside the ancient village. Yes. What's the secret in getting this? I don't hide it now. In fact, that ancient village is called Bayou Village, and the accident buried in the land is one of the soldiers of the 100,000 army who came to exterminate Bayou Village. Ha ha ha, I'm laughing to death. This must be true. What's wrong with this world? There are always people who come to the live broadcast room to cheat and cheat. The is not delicious at all. It is very astringent and sticky to the teeth, and it can't be licked clean with your tongue, and the taste is messy when you cut it and don't cut it. Upstairs, I have wine. Please tell your story. Seeing the human bones in the underground space, netizens in the live broadcast room suddenly became interested. Soon, the archaeologists involved in the exhumation of the body were dumbfounded. They had already dug up the bones that had just been exposed, but when they were cleaning up the surrounding dirt, they were the bones of several soldiers beside the bones of the great immortal. This is not a corpse. Song Jipeng looked at the picture of the bones pressing against the bones, and the armor being connected to the armor, and stumbled and said, looking at the density of bones, there are at least hundreds of soldiers' bones in this area. Professor Yuan sighed. The bones of hundreds of heavily armed soldiers were found around an ancient village. This small village is definitely not simple. Thinking of this, Professor Yuan's eyes became brighter and brighter. Originally, she thought it was just to explore a village that had accidentally fallen underground, with little archaeological value, but now it seems to be different from what she imagined. There is a big problem with this village. Everyone surrounded Professor Yuan, and there were already intact bones placed on the ground. The camera in the live broadcast room then turned and aimed at the soldiers' bones. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the bones we have sorted out, and according to the situation at the scene, there are at least hundreds of soldiers buried under this land. Next, let our Professor Yuan explain to you the information we got from this sentence. Soon, the camera in the live broadcast room convinced you to Professor Yuan. Friends in the live broadcast room, thank you very much for being able to watch this archaeological live broadcast. Next, I will explain to you the information I got from this soldier's bones. First of all, let's take a look at the armor on this soldier's body. Although it has been almost corroded by the soil, we can see the material of this armor. This is a pair of armor. In ancient times, in addition to the armor of the army is named after the material, it will also be divided according to the position in the army. The so-called soldier armor is the armor worn on the body of ordinary soldiers, and the other is worn on the body of military officers with a certain status, which is called professional officer armor. That's the difference between the two. As he spoke, Professor Yuan pointed to the arm of the soldier's bones. The obvious difference between the two is whether there are sleeves or not, and the official armor will also distinguish the level of the position through the shape and pattern on the armor. Look at the iron leaves of this armor. These filamentous fibers are our common cotton, so this armor is called cotton armor in terms of manufacturing material. The history of cotton armor can be traced back to the Mongol and Yuan periods, when the Mongol army was equipped with a large number of cotton armor. But this and the soldier does not belong to the Mongolian army. Everyone looks at the way he wears. This is a typical placket style, and all the army armor of the Mongolian army is a pullover. Historically, in addition to the use of cotton armor by the Mongol army, the Ming dynasty and the Qing dynasty, cotton armor was also famous in the Ming and Qing dynasties, mainly related to the weapons at that time. Because of the emergence of firearms, the traditional armor such as armor in the Dragon Kingdom can no longer resist firearms, but the composite armor of cotton armor has a good performance in defending against primary firearms. If you look closely, there are still some iron wires left in this set of armor, which is the dark armor that belongs to the cotton armor. After cotton armor was widely spread in the Ming Dynasty, it was gradually transformed into two forms. One of them is the Ming armor, which is directly sewn onto the lined cotton jacket with iron pieces or barbed wire. The other is the dark armor we see now, which is a piece of iron or barbed wire fixed with copper rivets on the inside of a cotton garment. The armor of the higher official ranks was also supplemented with defensive materials such as leather, so that the cotton armor became a composite set of armor, with cotton leather to cushion the impact of musket projectiles, and metal to resist swords and swords. And the appearance of dark armor was in the late Ming Dynasty, and it was not until the Opium War formation of the Qing Dynasty found that the cotton armor could not block bullets and increased the burden, so it was abandoned, which means that this soldier should be from the late Ming Dynasty or the early Qing Dynasty. Professor Yuan said, peeling aside the inside of the armor and studying it carefully. Suddenly, something fell from the middle of the armor, and she added it up, and the cameraman also brought the camera close to Professor Yuan's hand, filling the show with full effect. It was a rusty rivet, buried in the ground for a long time, so corroded that it could only be abstracted. Now I think I know what period this soldier is. At the beginning of the Qing Dynasty, the design of the Ming Dynasty cotton armor was directly used, and in the early Qing Dynasty, it was only added to the Ming Dynasty cotton armor. However, for the Ming army, the inventory paid more attention to the use of cold weapons, so the iron sheet in the cotton armor was thickened to form a heavy cotton armor. Look at the thickness of the iron sheet in this armor. The thickness of the iron sheet in the cotton armor of the Ming Dynasty is known to be about 4 millimeters, but although the iron sheet in this armor is corroded, according to my calculations, the thickness of this armor before it is corroded is about 6 millimeters, which is exactly the cotton armor used by the Qing army in the early Qing Dynasty. Combined with the architectural style of the ancient village in the underground space, I deduce that this underground space sank into the ground in the late Ming and early Qing dynasties. Professor Yuan said with some disappointment. For the history of the late Ming and early Qing dynasties, she couldn't be clearer, and it can also be said that because the late Ming and early Qing dynasties were relatively recent to modern times, the historical materials were complete. Professor Yuan thinks it is almost impossible to find unrecorded history in this underground space. But fortunately, at least through this live broadcast, people's interest in archaeology has been aroused. At least there should be more students in the archaeology department in the future. Professor Yuan secretly comforted himself in his heart. Professor Yuan, are you digging up all the bones of the soldiers underground? This is, an archaeologist asked. Professor Yuan nodded. Since the bones of soldiers from the late Ming and early Qing dynasties have been found here, then we archaeologists need to find out why they came back to this remote village. Professor Yuan said. This location was a deserted village far from the big cities in the late Ming and early Qing dynasties, and it stands to reason that there should not be so many Qing troops here. The other archaeologists nodded and began to dig up the bones in earnest, trying to clear all the bones of the soldiers in this area in a short time. It's a pity, because it's not to explore the ancient tomb, so I didn't bring the detector over, otherwise we could have accurately located the bones of the soldiers underground. Song Jipeng said with a sigh, and then explained to the netizens in the live broadcast room what the detector was and what it does. The so-called detector is able to detect something at a depth of more than 10 meters underground, and the archaeological team mainly uses words to detect cultural relics buried deep in the ground, in order to ensure the integrity of cultural relics as much as possible during excavation. Xiao Song, Su Yao, don't be idle, come over and take a hand, just have a time to study. This is, Professor Yuan said to Song Jipeng and Su Yao. Both of them were his students, and they were the perfect opportunity to put them into practice. As for the live broadcast, you just need to ask the photographer to point the camera at them and rebroadcast the footage of them digging up the bones of the Qing army. To be honest, Song Jipeng never thought that he would personally go down to the site to carry out archaeological excavations, and he didn't want to do so. The reason why I studied archaeology is mainly because my family is in the antique business, and I can take over the family's business by learning this. As for Su Yao, she didn't want to end up in person. She is a blood archaeology, mainly because the department with the lowest admission score at Beijing University is the Department of Archaeology. She just wants to enter this highest institution of learning in the Dragon Country, and then meet some people, and it would be the best to be able to find a golden beetle son-in-law and become a rich wife. 666, I only saw some bones, a pair of broken armor, but Professor Yuan saw so much information from it. Is this the difference between ordinary people and professors? The late Ming Dynasty and the early Qing Dynasty are closer than the Ming Dynasty mentioned at the beginning. I don't think there will be anything like before. Don't say that. Even if there are no ancient villages and no bones of Qing soldiers, this mysterious underground space is the ninth wonder of the world. Don't be mysterious. Professor Cheng and Professor Hu both explained to us the itinerary of this underground space and the mystery of a hammer. It's boring, it's withdrawn. Did you get their consent to dig them out of the ground? God TM has not been approved by others. Upstairs. Why don't I send you to ask in front of them? Isn't it okay to dig up other people's bones directly? 666. Is this what you have to dig out and frustrate your bones and scatter ashes after you are buried? With the passage of time, Yuan Zhao and them have logically removed the bones of dozens of Qing soldiers. But as they cleaned up, they felt more and more that something was wrong. According to the ancient custom, if a soldier dies in battle, if he cannot be transported back to his hometown, then go back to the place and find a place to bury the soldier collectively. They originally thought that this was the place where the corpses of Qing soldiers were buried, but as the excavation progressed, they found that the soldiers were not placed correctly. The bones lay on their backs, and if someone had buried them, they would have been neatly organized. The bones of these Qing soldiers have not been sorted out, which means that the Qing army was defeated or won a miserable victory at that time, and there is no energy left to sort out the corpses. Professor Yuan came to such a conclusion in his heart, and he was immediately shocked. She looked at the village in the distance. Could it be caused by the villagers of this village? Thinking of this, Professor Yuan couldn't help but shake his head. How could I have such an outrageous idea? Not to mention the hundreds of heavily armed soldiers, but looking at the size of the village in the distance, even counting the old people and children, there are only 2,000 or 3,000, and the old people, children, and women who go out can only fight about 1/5, that is, about 500. How could 500 unarmed men be the opponent of hundreds of heavily armed Qing troops? Professor Yuan, something is wrong. These accidents are not in this small area. An archaeology professor frowned and said to Professor Yuan with a serious gaze. They have now invited a large area, and all the corpses of Qing soldiers are scattered and piled up, and with the expansion of the scope of cleanup, the backlog of corpses of Qing soldiers has not decreased. I now have a bold guess that the area where we are located is full of the corpses of Qing soldiers. The professor's voice was not loud, but the camera in the live broadcast room was too close to him, and his words were directly transmitted to the live broadcast room. I grasp what I heard. The underground is full of the bones of Qing soldiers? I'm studying statistics. According to the density of the bones of those Qing soldiers just now, there are at least 80,000 in this large area. 80,000, I'll drop a good girl. How many people are here? Aliens can drown me if they have spittle. 80,000? Wait, I've got something. Upstairs, you're not alone. I'm Grass. I'm talking about corpses. Why did you suddenly curse people? Hee, I thought of it too. All the same, it's scary to think about. Haha. This is the legendary big face that doesn't stay overnight. At Hu Zhao show. What are you talking about? Why can't I understand? Do you remember what Professor Hu said before? Remember, this land is red because it is rich in ferric oxide, not because it is infected by blood, because it takes at least 70,000 or 80,000 people to dye this land red. What the is this, Professor? This is a prophet. This is a slap in the face at the speed of light. The front foot says it is impossible, and 80,000 corpses appear on the back foot. At Yuan Zhao show, does your face hurt? Hearing that there may be at least 80,000 Qing troops buried underground, the live broadcast room instantly became lively. Impossible. Impossible. Almost at the same time, Professor Yuan and Hu Kankan shouted at the same time. Then Professor Yuan and Hu Kankan glanced at each other and motioned for the other party to speak first. After a period of silence, it was Hu Kankan who broke the silence. This is impossible. Why did 80,000 Qing troops come to this small village? And it is still on the outskirts of the village? In addition, if this land is dyed red by the corpses of the Qing army, how can there be no grass? According to science, human corpses are more suitable for the growth of plants, but look at those shrubs. How did they come to an abrupt end here? It is estimated that his own statement was refuted. Hu Kankan was a little angry and bloody, and his whole face was red. Is there such a possibility that these Qing soldiers happened to pass by this village, and then they were hit by an earthquake and buried in the ground? Casual archaeologists are not accustomed to nonsense. Qi Dongsheng is one of them, and as an equal to Professor Yuan in the archaeological community, his temper is also very stubborn. Now the facts are in front of us, and there are indeed many bones of Qing soldiers buried under this land. It is also possible that this land is dyed red by a huge number of corpses, but now Hu Kankan denies this matter, which makes Qi Dongsheng very unhappy. Naturally, you have to scare him, otherwise your thoughts will not be clear. If you don't have a good idea, you can't study this underground space properly. As for why the bushes didn't spread, it's not for me to study, it's for you, a botanist, to study. Qi Dongsheng pointed to the bushes behind him. Research is not something that can be drawn by talking. It is an indisputable fact that there are indeed a large number of bones of Qing soldiers under this land. In the face of Qi Dongsheng's anger, Hu Kankan's face became even more red. Fortunately, at this time, Professor Yuan came out to fight a round, and the battle that was about to break out was extinguished before it started. Don't make any noise, don't you all have your own opinions, only when everyone speaks enthusiastically can we better explore this underground space. Professor Yuan was sandwiched between the two and kept saying good things. Under the steps given by Professor Yuan, Hu Kankan didn't say anything more, just waited for Qi Dongsheng to glance at him angrily, and wanted to walk to the periphery of the crowd. As for Qi Dongsheng, he and Professor Yuan are people in a circle, and they naturally communicate often on weekdays. Since Professor Yuan came out to speak, he was embarrassed to let Professor Yuan not get off the stage, so he stopped talking, but squatted on the ground and continued to dig up the corpses of the Qing army below. By the way, Professor Yuan, what can't you just say because of this? Hu Kankan's eyes lit up on the side, and he suddenly remembered that Professor Yuan had also said these 3 words just now. Now that he has found Professor Yuan, he just wants to pull an ally, and he can also save some face for himself. Forehead. Professor Yuan was stunned for a moment, and after Qi Dongsheng's words just now, Professor Yuan also came to his senses. In fact, when she said it was impossible, she didn't want to believe it. But not believing doesn't mean impossible, it's nothing. I just said that there may be at least 80,000 Qing troops buried in this underground. I didn't believe it at first, because I was too excited to say that it was impossible. The reason why I don't believe it is that the historical records since the end of the Ming dynasty and the beginning of the Qing dynasty are very detailed. If there are at least 80,000 Qing troops buried here, then there should be records in the historical materials, but I have not seen it. The more Professor Yuan spoke, the more excited he became. Yes, the fact that there is no historical record proves that there is some unknown history in this underground space. But now I agree with Professor Qi's words. After all, judging from the current situation, there must be a lot of Qing army bones underground. Lao Qi, let's go separately, dig an area by ourselves, clean up the surface first, and see if there are the corpses of the Qing army under this red land. As Professor Yuan spoke, he took out the excavation tools and started working non-stop. The other archaeologists also found a place according to Professor Yuan and began to clean up the blood-red soil. At the entrance to the underground space, the security personnel tried to come in and arrest Zhang Yi. However, they found that the entrance to the underground space seemed to have a layer of invisible and intangible glass, which no one could enter. After trying many methods to no avail, they had to report the matter. Because a large number of bones of the Qing army were found in the underground space, it is suspected that there is no history that has never appeared, so there are many high-level officials of the Dragon Kingdom in the underground space who are paying attention. After receiving the information from the security team, the official attached great importance to it and contacted Sun Chang in the underground space as soon as possible. The partition at the entrance to the underground space prevents people from entering, but the signal can still be communicated. Soon, Sun Chang received the message from above. Ladies and gentlemen, I have bad news for everyone. Sun Chang paused slightly, saw that everyone turned to him, and then said, I received a notice from above just now. The entrance to the underground space is blocked by a transparent wall, and people outside can't get in after trying many methods. What? Well, can we get out then? Is it a special kind of magnetic field? After hearing Sun Chang's words, A trace of panic flashed in the hearts of everyone in the underground space. There is also bad news, that is, a person has entered the underground space. This person is a kidnapper, and he also has a hostage who has been knocked unconscious, and it is initially suspected that he did the closure of the entrance to the underground space. Without waiting for everyone to recover their mentality, Sun Chang put another bomb. What? Kidnappers? What can I do? This. How does the security personnel up there? Why don't we find a place to hide and reduce unnecessary casualties? When the personnel who came down to explore heard that a criminal had broken in, they couldn't help but retreat, wanting to avoid it first. No, if we hide, that criminal destroys the historical information here, then how can we study? Kui Dongsheng said with a gloomy face. Now that he has discovered an unrecorded history, how could he leave? Rest assured, it's just a kidnapper who broke in, but we have Captain Sun and they are protecting, and the special team led by Captain Sun is also the top existence in the army, and now he still has firearms. A small kidnapper doesn't dare to come. Even if he comes to us, he will only be arrested. Quote. Professor Yuan saw the thoughts of some of the explorers, so he opened his mouth to comfort him. Not to mention, her words were quite effective, and after listening to Professor Yuan's words, everyone's original uneasy mood gradually recovered. Everyone, let's hurry up and work. Captain Sun, I'm sorry for you to be on guard at all times. After Kui Dongsheng finished speaking, he began to continue his work, and Professor Yuan also squatted on the ground and began to get busy. Their conversations were all exposed in the live broadcast room through the camera. When they heard someone break into the underground space, they were excited again. Yes, excited. I'm Grass. Which captain can't help but touch the treasure when he touches the gold? If you dare to rob the tomb under the nose of the country, I would like to call you the strongest captain who touches gold. People come in the morning, tombs are robbed in the afternoon, criminals are sentenced tomorrow, and prisons are the day after tomorrow. Brother is really punished. These days are getting more and more sentenced. This brother did what I wanted to do but didn't dare to do. The most kind of man in the future is no longer Zhang Yida. I hope nothing happens to the researchers in the underground space. And Zhang Yi, who was at the entrance, didn't know that he had become the object of guard, and now he had stopped exhaling aura. His current physical condition has reached the saturation of spiritual energy, and his strength has increased more than 10 times compared to before he came down. Cultivation is like eating. If a person is hungry all the time, then his stomach will definitely be much smaller than that of a normal person. Of course, Zhang Yi's body was like being hungry all the time, and there was no aura replenishment, so naturally his body could not breathe out much aura. Now he needs to digest the aura in his body and turn it into his own qi. It was delayed for a while, but fortunately, the entrance to Bayu village was sealed when I came down. Zhang Yi said to himself, and then carried Dr. Zhao and began to run in the direction of Bayu village. Now, if he doesn't use magic weapon shoes in time, he can also reach the speed of using magic weapons before he came down. Zhang Yi stepped on the bushes, like a dragonfly dotting water. Soon they were on the edge of the bushes. In front of him was the red zone, where the exploration team was located. It's them. Zhang Yi, who was running fast above the bushes, saw a group of people squatting in front of him, digging something. That's the corpse of the Qing army in a dream. Zhang Yi is very familiar with these corpses. After all, 1/3 of these people are themselves. Ah no. When Zhang Yi was dying, he also sank the corpses of these Qing soldiers into the ground. Although these people are all enemies of Xuanyi in the dream, Xuanyi in the dream is not a person without energy. These soldiers are just following orders, and what he really hates is the one who gives orders, Huang Taiji. It's just that I didn't expect that even after these corpses were buried in the ground, they didn't escape this catastrophe and were pulled out by these scientific researchers for study. Zhang Yi stood on a shrub. He stepped on a leaf on the tip of the tree, the leaf sank slightly, and he actually supported Zhang Yi. This is the ability that Zhang Yi was able to display after coming to Bayu village. It's like before, even if you can do it to this extent, but it's definitely a real man in 3 seconds. But now it's different, because when I came to Bayu village, I absorbed the residual aura of Bayu village, and the qi in my body was exaggerated by more than 10 times, so I was naturally able to do this step easily. Zhang Yi was full of thoughts, so he hugged Dr. Zhao and stayed on the bushes. Soon, he was discovered by a special squad on alert. Team Sun. There's a situation there, a member of the special team said, pointing to Zhang Yi who was standing on top of the bushes, and motioned for Sun Chang to look over there. This. Everyone be on guard, if necessary, you can immediately shoot and cover us, and don't let this person get close to us. Others may not know, but from the information sent from above, he knows the danger of Zhang Yi's person. The truck hid nothing at all, and the bouncing power was far beyond ordinary people, and it was able to break the handcuffs with his bare hands, and there was this weapon that released infrasound. These are all the information he learned about Zhang Yi. In order to stabilize other people's emotions, Sun Chang did not talk about these things. Now he is staring at Zhang Yi from afar, and sweat is unconsciously left on his forehead. The camera in the live broadcast room also followed the instructions of the member of the special squad just now, and focused on Zhang Yi standing on the bushes. Zhu. Friends in the live broadcast room, that's the kidnapper who broke into the underground space just now. Somehow, looking at Zhang Yi, who was standing quietly on the bushes, Song Jipeng's heartbeat began to accelerate. Of course, this is not a heartbeat feeling, but a palpitation. He was afraid, so afraid that his calves and stomach were trembling, and the sentence just now was also said through gritted teeth. Song Jipeng suddenly thought of a sentence from a two-dimensional anime, he and that person are not one-dimensional creatures at all. The atmosphere was quiet, and the scientific researchers and special teams present did not dare to pant loudly, for fear that after breaking this atmosphere, they would face a flood of beasts. Not only is this the case in the underground space, but even in the live broadcast room, since Zhang Yi appeared in the camera, the netizens in the live broadcast room have become extremely quiet. It took a long time for someone to break the silence. Is this human? Why did I first see him like I was facing a beast? Beast, don't be kidding, when I went on a safari, I was in a car that was attacked by a male lion and I was not so scared as I am now. It seems that I am not alone in the mood for fear. The screen is shaking so much, this cameraman is too unqualified. Come on, if you were on the scene, you probably would have thrown the camera away. Don't you think it's strange that the kidnapper is standing on the top of the bushes like this on the top of the bushes in the live broadcast, and this stuntman can't do it, right? Well, I also found out, is this the legendary reed crossing the river, light power water floating? It feels like we're not in the same dimension as that kidnapper at all. Yes, I feel this way too. If someone tells me now that the person in the live broadcast is a god, I will believe it. Fake. How can a man stand firmly on the leaves on the tip of the tree? Upstairs, you're a fool. This is a live broadcast, how can you hang Weiya? After all, the netizens in the live broadcast room did not face Zhang Yi directly, and returned to their previous state after a short period of fright. However, the scientific researchers and special teams in the underground space are different. They are directly facing Zhang Yi, and the impact they receive is naturally much stronger. The first to stabilize was Sun Chang and the special team he led. At this moment, although Sun Chang did not tell the other members of the special team about Zhang Yi, many years of combat experience let them know that the man standing on the top of the tree in the distance was not easy to deal with. Seeing that he had been discovered, and he was still guarding himself as if he was facing a great enemy, Zhang Yi was a little unclear. Even if you meet other people in this underground space, but you don't have any weapons, you can't be like this. Stepping on the leaves on the tip of the bush, Zhang Yi gently jumped down from it. The footsteps fell to the ground, without stirring up a trace of dust, like a leaf falling from the sky. Step by step, he approached the crowd in the center of the red zone. However, every step he took made the hand of the special squad standing at the front of everyone hold the gun harder. Until Zhang Yi was 30 meters away from everyone, Sun Chang shouted, "Stop!" At the same time, he aimed his grab at the ground. Bang! After a gunshot, there was an extra bullet hole in the ground more than a meter away from Zhang Yi, and a trace of gunpowder smoke came out of the hole. What do you mean by that? Zhang Yi looked at the bullet holes emitting gunsmoke on the ground, and then raised his head and said to Sun Chang, who fired the gun with some displeasure, "Please don't go any further, or the next shot won't be aimed at the ground." "Oh, I don't think I offended you. Why did you target me as soon as we met?" Facing the 12 swarthy muzzles, Zhang Yi's expression did not change in the slightest, and he was still calm. Your Excellency is really joking, kidnapping a doctor, bypassing the police. Do you say we shouldn't guard against you? Sun Chang's eyes stared at Zhang Yi deadly, for fear that he would make some moves. So you all know. Zhang Yi was a little surprised, but he didn't take it to heart. Now he is not afraid of these people even if he doesn't have a talisman magic weapon, even if they have guns in their hands. But he understood one thing. That is, the barrier cannot stop the spread of modern signals. Ladies and gentlemen, I am only here for one thing to do, and I have no intention of conflicting with you. Why don't you take your Yangguan Road and I take my single plank bridge? Zhang Yi told the truth. The corpses of these Qing soldiers will move as soon as they move. As long as the remains of the villagers of Beiyu village are not moved, he will not stop these people. Do you think we're going to believe you? Sun Chang sneered. He knew that Zhang Yi had an infrasonic weapon like a small whistle, which could cause creatures within a radius of 20 meters to show symptoms of vomiting, dizziness and weakness. If he believed Zhang Yi's nonsense and let him get close to his people, then he only needed to use that infrasonic weapon, and all these people present would be wiped out. What's more, the information shows that Zhang Yi is very fast and can dodge bullets at close range. If he is allowed to get close, I am afraid that the special team will not even have a chance to shoot. Alas, in fact, I really have no malicious intent, and I also tried to kidnap Dr. Zhao because I need to bring him here to do something. Zhang Yi said helplessly. What do you do? Sun Chang's eyes lit up, and he opened his mouth to ask, judging from the information he knew. The reason why this kidnapper kidnapped Dr. Zhao had always been a mystery. Now, if you can ask Zhang Yi about the reason for kidnapping Dr. Zhao, it will be a gain. No comment on this. How can I let you go if you don't say it? That's going to be a bit hard. Zhang Yi rubbed his temples. He really didn't want to clash with the official armed forces. To be honest, if there was no such dream, Beiyu village would not have a life. He would be an ordinary college student, at most. He would be a top student of the First Academy of the Dragon Kingdom. But because of a dream, in order not to expose himself, in order to be able to live in peace, he had to face the officials and these armed forces. Seeing that Zhang Yi didn't make any moves next, the emotions of the professors who came to explore the underground space gradually stabilized at this time. Professor Yuan also realized that the kidnapper in front of him should know some information about this underground space that they didn't know. Otherwise, why would he bring a person all the way here and say that he wants to do something? Mr. Kidnapper, I don't know your surname. Listen to what you mean. You seem to know something about this underground space. Hearing Professor Yuan's words, Zhang Yi was a little surprised. Being able to hear Professor Yuan speak in such a humble tone, or to himself, Zhang Yi always felt a little uncomfortable. It seems that this magic weapon of disguise is very useful. Even the university professor who taught me for 4 years can't recognize me. Zhang Yi thought in his heart and nodded coldly at Professor Yuan. Sir, can you tell us a little bit about the origin of this underground space? In fact, this underground space is artificially created. Zhang Yi recalled the picture of Zhang Yi dying in his dream, and couldn't help but feel a little sad in his heart, and his tone became low. Man-made? How is this possible? The area of underground space is so huge, and it has formed a complete ecological cycle, not to mention the wisdom of the ancients. It is almost impossible to create such a space even now. After hearing Zhang Yi's answer, he was the first to jump out of the matter. He had said before that the trip to this underground space was due to the earthquake, and now the kidnapper in front of him said that he thought it was built. Isn't this a slap in the face? You're the one who asked this question, and it's you who don't believe it now. Is it interesting for you? Zhang Yi glanced at Cheng Shifei. The most annoying thing about him was people like Cheng Shifei. Yeah, will I still talk to you? It's a throat. If I have a heart attack, will you be responsible? You. Cheng Shifei just wanted to speak, but Professor Yuan pulled his arm and pulled him back. Professor Cheng, don't refute it yet, let's hear what he said. Professor Yuan whispered to Cheng Shifei. Professor Yuan also didn't believe what Zhang Yi said, but this did not prevent them from continuing to listen. Sir, as you said, who prevented the construction of this underground space? As one of my friends just said, it takes a lot of manpower and material resources to build this underground space. and it is impossible for a large project like this to go unrecorded. Who said that building this underground space would require a huge amount of manpower and material resources? Zhang Yi's eyes looked into the distance, as if he had crossed these explorers and looked directly at Bayou Village. After a long time, he said leisurely, "This underground space is made by one person. This time, it's really shocking and endless." Everyone was stunned by Zhang Yi's words, and then they looked at Zhang Yi with the expression of a fool. One person builds an underground space of this scale. Even if this person starts building from the womb, it will not be possible to complete it until death. Looking at the eyes of everyone, Zhang Yi understood the meaning to be expressed. Hey! Summer insects can't talk about ice, and well, frogs can't talk about the sea. Zhang Yi sighed lightly, thinking in his heart how a group of muggles could understand the power of Qi training. 666. I originally thought it was a neurosis, but when I heard this sentence from the mouth of the little brother, I instantly felt that the little brother was the only one who was sober. I suddenly understood the artistic conception that everyone was drunk and I was awake. A master is a master, not just the way he plays. Although theoretically the words of the little brother are absolutely impossible, I believe in him. Damn, do kidnappers have to have this temperament now? Is TMD even demanding so much crime now? Building it by one person, with the scientific and technological power of the ancients, I am afraid that this will not be completed in hundreds of years, right? It's absolutely impossible, not to mention such a large underground space, just to say that the stone above the head that has continuously emitted light for hundreds of years is not something that the ancients could make. Netizens in the live broadcast room also heard what Zhang Yi said, just like what the industry said, this is undoubtedly a fantasy. Ahem. Professor Yuan laughed dryly, and couldn't help but classify Zhang Yi as a type of person with mental illness. Sir, where did you hear about this? Where do you know? Hey, the man who created this underground space is my friend. Everything Xuanyi experienced in the dream was like another life of his own, and he and Xuanyi should be regarded as friends. Friend? Professor Yuan was stunned for a year after hearing this, and finally couldn't help but feel a little funny. The kidnapper in front of him is a psychopath, a real hammer. You know, this underground space was built at least in the late Ming and early Qing dynasties, when it was 400 years from now. As a friend of the builder, could it be said that the young kidnapper in front of him lived for 400 years? How is this possible, brothers? It seems that we have lost our eyes. I originally thought that this kidnapper was a big guy when he appeared on the scene, but it turned out to be a psychopath. Song Jipeng said with a smile to the camera in the live broadcast room. Maybe because of the change in Zhang Yi's image in his heart, and now in his consciousness. Zhang Yi is a neurotic, and then his fear of Zhang Yi has dropped to the extreme, and he even dares to make some jokes now. Haha, that's it, sure enough, people can't look good, and the sea can't fight. This is a living monster over 400 years old. Mom, come out and see the fairies. Originally, I believed this man's words, but here I go. My IQ no longer allows me to trust him. This is to press my IQ to the ground and rub it hard. God, I'm friends with the builders, don't say that, maybe this kidnapper is a god? Immortals, let's be insane. Regarding Zhang Yi's statement, it can be said that 99% of the people in the live broadcast room don't believe it, and the remaining 1% are some people with advanced secondary and secondary diseases. What kind of immortal cultivation? What immortality? They're just joking on their lips. Now it's 2022. If you really want to talk about this, few people will believe it. Okay, I've already told you everything I need to say, can you let me go now? Zhang Yi looked at Sun Chang and asked. Those scholars were not worried, they could see that Sun Chang was the leader of this group of special teams. As long as Sun Chang nodded, he could pass directly. There were a total of 12 people in the special squad in front of him, each of whom was equipped with a complete set of weapons, a rifle in his hand, and a pistol and a special operations dagger pinned to his thigh. Although Zhang Yi is not afraid now, he can only compare bullets, and he really has to resist the shooting of a rifle, and I am afraid I don't know how Zhang Yi died. If all the 12 special squads shot at him, it would not be easy for Zhang Yi to dodge. No, please stand still. Seeing that Zhang Yi wanted to move his footsteps, Sun Chang said nervously as if he was facing a great enemy. Haha, Captain Sun. Why are you so nervous about a person with mental illness? Song Jipeng saw Sun Chang's nervousness and couldn't help laughing. Sun Chang turned his head and glared at Song Jipeng fiercely, and then quickly turned his head to stare at Zhang Yi. Song Jipeng was bored by Sun Chang, and he suddenly felt inexplicable in his heart. Isn't it just a psychopath? I don't have a weapon in my hand, so why is Team Sun so nervous? Hearing that Sun Chang didn't let himself move, and that he looked nervous about his clothes, Zhang Yi kept looking at him with a smile. This made Sun Chang feel numb in his back, and he had the urge to shoot. But he knew that he must not shoot first, and from the information he obtained, the kidnapper in front of him was the owner of the speed at which he could dodge the bullet. As long as he shoots, it proves that he wants to start a war with Zhang Yi, and if this shot can hit Zhang Yi, it will be great. If he misses, I am afraid that there will always be some casualties among the people present. Here, not only the members of the special squad, but also professors in various industries, if they are injured under their own protection, then their careers will not be easy in the future. I'm a defenseless person, what are you afraid of? Zhang Yi was still smiling, which reminded Sun Chang of an idiom in the Dragon Kingdom, hiding a knife in his smile. It's just that the kidnapper's knife in front of him seems to be a little sharp. A person who can break the handcuffs with his bare hands and stun 6 armed policemen. I don't think humans and animals are harmless, and there is no power to restrain chickens. What? Breaking the handcuffs with his bare hands, knocking out 6 policemen with guns. After Sun Chang's words were finished, he suddenly ushered in a burst of exclamation, and Song Jipeng, who was still laughing just now, was clever, and his steps unconsciously retreated backwards, hiding behind the special team, as if he couldn't see Zhang Yi safe. Sun. What did you just say, Team Sun? Is this true? Professor Yuan asked with a look of disbelief. It's true, so I ask a few professors to step back, and if there is a war, we can avoid accidentally hurting you. Sun Chang didn't look back, and at this moment, the cold sweat that everyone had retracted broke out again. I don't want to hurt you. After Zhang Yi finished speaking, he was about to take out the whistle magic weapon. Against a large number of enemies, the small whistle is undoubtedly an artifact. It's just that the attack range of the little whistle is only 20 meters, and he is now almost 30 meters away from Sun Chang, so he can only move forward. Seeing Zhang Yi move, and about to take something out of his waist, Sun Chang shouted and shot, and suddenly the bullet was aimed at Zhang Yi and shot away. Woo! The sound of bullets and air rubbing was unusually harsh, and after the other special team members heard their captain's words, they did not hesitate and shot directly at Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi didn't expect Sun Chang to be so decisive, he just wanted to take out a small whistle from the waistband of his pants, so he shot directly. Young people don't talk about martial arts. He had no choice but to abandon the whistle and start dodging the bullets that came from the swoop. 12 rifles were fired at Zhang Yi, and the bullets were so dense that there was no gap for him to move forward. In order not to let the bullet hit, Zhang Yi had to step back. Alas, the paper is shallow, and I never know that I have to do it. The ancients did not deceive me. Zhang Yi was lucky to dodge the bullet backwards, which was not as simple as he imagined. Just when Zhang Yi was lucky enough to dodge the bullet, he noticed something strange underground. There's a way. Zhang Yi jumped 3 times in a row, away from Sun Chang and them, and when Sun Chang saw this, he also raised his left hand and signaled to stop shooting. At this moment, the netizens in the live broadcast room and the scholars behind the members of the special squad have grown their mouths one by one. It turns out that the movie is not a lie, and there really are people who are able to dodge bullets. Mom, what did I see just now? I'm grass, there are really people who can dodge bullets. Don't tell me anything in the future that the gun is fast 3 steps away, and the gun is accurate and fast within 3 steps. Oh my god. Reiki resurrection? Human mutation? It's a real hammer. This is a martial arts master with mental illness. Upstairs, you want to talk about the fire cloud evil god? Now I kind of believe that this little brother has lived for more than 400 years, after all, how can a human being be able to shoot with a multimeter rifle, or 12? The live broadcast room posted the picture of Zhang Yi dodging bullets, and at the same time, it was not only netizens who paid attention to the live broadcast, because the entrance to the underground space could not be entered, and the National Security Department of the Dragon Kingdom could only learn about what was happening in the underground space in the form of watching the live broadcast. Because of the strangeness shown by Zhang Yi, his case has now been accepted by the National Security Department. After all, there are a variety of black technologies and abnormal phenomena in one person's body, which has to make the Dragon Kingdom pay attention. This. In a secret office in Shangjing City, a person who was watching the live broadcast raised his head, looked at the person standing behind him, and asked, "Director Shen, do you want to block this video?" According to the NSA's previous style, as long as it encounters such non-humans, it will block videos that affect the trust of the people in the National Armed Forces. No. And can't be blocked, Director Shen, that is, Shen Guoliang, said with a frown. Now the audience in the live broadcast room has reached 30 million, and if it is blocked, it will only cause the opposite effect. And this live broadcast was also transferred to the official central channel. If it was blocked, wouldn't it be a slap in the face? Arrange for people to wait in that underground space, and then ask the professor from the Academy of Sciences to study what is going on with the entrance to that underground space. Why can't people enter, if it's an energy shield? Try to figure out how to make it in reverse. Shen Guoliang commanded. Also, when you catch that kidnapper, take as much pillow as possible for his personal safety, and then take him directly to the NSA. Zhang Yi is a very important person, not only because he knows the hidden history in the underground space, but also because of the magical methods like black technology on him. If those abilities are thoroughly studied by the Dragon Kingdom, it will definitely make the strength of the Dragon Kingdom rise to a higher level, and even surpass the Ugly Kingdom. For a while, the underground space that could only be said to be concerned was now classified as the focus of attention, and the Dragon Kingdom also directly sent an army of 500 people to be stationed at the entrance of the underground space. 500 people are fully armed, and all the 3 kilometers around the underground space are under control, and the businesses on the streets and the migrant workers in the office buildings are all taken home on vacation, and all losses are borne by the state. On the roof of the building, dozens of snipers lay in ambush on it, teams of soldiers patrolled every street, and a group of scientists at the entrance to the underground space were studying the barrier set by Zhang Yi. Such a big battle is just for Zhang Yi. The reporters were like cats asking about the smell of fish, and they swarmed in just as the army was stationed at the entrance to the underground space. However, all of them were intercepted by armed soldiers at the outermost periphery. Director Shen, there are a lot of reporters outside, do you want to drive them away? As the director of the National Security Bureau, there is no reason why he should not be on the scene with such a big battle. And there is another tune when he came here, that is, Zhaoan Zhang Yi. Is it a crime to kidnap someone if you have the ability? Is it a crime to stun several police officers? Shen Guoliang can only say that it depends on how capable this person is. If he can rub the nuclear bomb in his hands, then my dear friend is just playing with the police, it is a drill. No, I'll go out and talk to them. Soon. Shen Guoliang came to the outermost part of the control by car. When the reporters waiting outside saw a person getting out of the car, they immediately surrounded them. Later, they found out that it was Shen Guoliang, the director of the National Security Bureau, who belonged to one of the high-level leaders of the Dragon Kingdom. I didn't expect this great god to come forward, Director Shen, as the director of the National Security Bureau. You actually came here in person. Does it mean that the kidnapper in the underground space is serious enough to threaten the security of the Dragon Kingdom? Director Shen, is the boy in the underground space who can take his life more than a bullet really an ordinary kidnapper? Director Shen, how much information does the official know about the kidnapper? Director Shen, Director Shen, Director Shen. A group of reporters pounced on Shen Guoliang like wolves. Row was that he had seen many big scenes, and he also unconsciously took half a step back. The reporters didn't care about this, they just wanted to wait for a person in charge here to consult, but they didn't expect a heavy rain to come. Shen Guoliang has such a task. How can they be qualified to interview on weekdays, and now they have seized the opportunity? If they don't grasp it, then really don't mess around in this industry. The reporters scrambled to put the microphone in Shen Guoliang's mouth, and because of the scramble, some of the microphones poked into Shen Guoliang's mouth. Shen Guoliang hurriedly took 2 steps back. How could the reporter who interviewed him on weekdays be so crazy? He hurriedly gestured to the soldiers on the side with his eyes, and the soldiers hurriedly stepped forward to stop the reporter. Everyone, you say one by one, or I'll go back now. It's just you can ask first, you can only ask one question. Shen Goliang pointed to a reporter with a net logo on his chest. Me? The reporter who was pointed at by Shen Goliang was stunned and pointed his finger at himself and asked. Yes, that's you. Okay. May I ask Director Shen, are you here because of that kidnapper? Yes. Next. Shen Goliang didn't talk nonsense, and pointed out a reporter after answering a reporter's question. May I ask Director Shen, what exactly did that kidnapper commit and need you to come and arrest him personally? Kidnapping. Shen Goliang looked at this reporter with strange eyes. Did he have a mental problem? He said that the kidnapper had committed and asked what crime he had committed. May I ask Director Shen, if it was only a kidnapping crime, why did you personally go to the scene to arrest it, and is it because the kidnapped person is very important? No matter who is kidnapped, as long as it is a citizen of our country, it is important. As for why I came, this is a secret, and I cannot announce it. Director Shen, how did the kidnapper dodge the bullets in the live broadcast? When Shen Goliang heard this reporter's question, he only rolled his eyes angrily. TMD, you ask me, who do I ask? I want to know too. We're still exploring this. Director Shen, the live broadcast said that the kidnapper was safe and sound after being hit by a train, and he also knocked out several police officers. Is this true? It's true, everyone. That's the end of today's interview. There are still some things to deal with. After speaking, Shen Goliang got into the car and wanted to drive towards the entrance of the underground space. If we stay any longer, that group of reporters will have all sorts of questions. If it weren't for the fear that they wouldn't be able to interview people, and they would write nonsense after they went back, Shen Goliang wouldn't want to come forward at all. Professors, how are you doing? Still no, this partition can't be seen or touched, but people just can't get in. We don't even know what to study. One of the professors said ashamedly. In vain. We are known as Taishan Beidou in the scientific research community of the Dragon Kingdom, and now we have ready-made things, but we are not even qualified to research. Don't say that, Professor Qian. Your research has greatly increased the power of the Dragon Kingdom, and it is only a matter of time before you can't research it now. Well, you guys study slowly. I still have some things to deal with. Although Shen Goliang is the director of the National Security Bureau and a high-level member of the Dragon Kingdom, he is very restrained in the face of these professors. There is no way. Some of these people can be their grandfathers, and they have made great contributions to the development of the Dragon Kingdom. To be honest, the 500 soldiers in full suit nearby were not all here to capture Zhang Yi, but more to protect these professors. After saying goodbye to these professors, Shen Goliang came to another place. This is where the communications are responsible. How about it? Have you contacted Sun Chang in the underground space? We've been connected. Shen Goliang responded, looking up at the big screen that had just been built, which was the live broadcast content of the underground space. At this time, because Zhang Yi did not continue to advance, Sun Chang and the others did not shoot again. After all, bullets are limited. According to Zhang Yi's performance just now, once they run out of ammunition, then it will be the time when the whole army will be annihilated. Give me the phone. I'll communicate with Sun Chang. Shen Goliang stared at the screen intently, and then a soldier next to him put the phone in Shen Goliang's hand in the air. Captain Sun, can you hear me? Yes. What instructions does the leader have? Just now, Sun Chang had already received a notice that a big man would contact him and then do what the big man told him. Hello. Now send someone to communicate with the kidnapper. Remember, expect to be gentle, and try not to get into trouble with him again. Okay. Sun Chang frowned. He really didn't want to let the kidnappers who were closest to the front. It would be too dangerous. But as soldiers, especially the elites in the army, obeying the arrangements of their superiors is their consciousness as soldiers. You always take precautions. If I have nothing to do, retreat as soon as possible, and take the safety of the professors as the first criterion. After speaking, Sun Chang couldn't go to Zhang Yi. Don't worry, this person should not be hostile to you, otherwise he wouldn't have discussed with you calmly just now. As if he saw Sun Chang's thoughts, Shen Goliang said on the phone. Yes, sir. In this way, Sun Chang walked towards Zhang Yi as he spoke. Interesting, he was guarding against me just now, but now he took the initiative to approach me, and it should be the outside police who communicated with him on the phone just now. Zhang Yi stood still and looked at Sun Chang with interest. Hello sir, there may have been some misunderstanding just now, please forgive me for offending. This is what Shen Goliang taught Sun Chang on the other end of the phone. Misunderstanding, just now there were 12 not strong shots at me, if it were a different person, I'm afraid it would have been beaten into a sieve by now. Zhang Yi said angrily. For some reason, he thought of that dream again. In the dream, Beiyu village, which Zhang Yi created, was also indiscriminately attacked by the Qing army. So, infected by the dream, Zhang Yi, who didn't want to conflict with the official, suddenly had a desire to take revenge. Well, it's mainly that your performance on the ground is too terrifying, so you made the attack just now in a hurry, don't you think you're okay now? Just because I'm okay means you can attack me indiscriminately? Zhang Yi's eyes became colder and colder, and the picture of the 3,000 villagers of Beiyu village all killed under the attack of 100,000 Qing troops in his dream filled Zhang Yi's mind. Sun Chang didn't know what to say, and there was no sound on the other end of the phone. Shen Goliang carefully savored Zhang Yi's voice on the phone, and from this voice, Shen Goliang heard a trace of anger and a trace of hostility. No, in the previous live broadcast, there was no hostility or anger in the kidnapper's tone. What is the situation now? Shen Goliang touched his chin and thought, could it be because of Captain Sun's previous attack? Yes, it should be. Thinking of this, Shen Goliang hurriedly said, apologize to him and invite him to walk with you. Hearing the voice on the other end of the phone after a long time, Sun Chang was a little embarrassed. Getting him to apologize to a kidnapper is simply not going to be done. Besides, walking with the man in front of you, isn't this a plot with a tiger? If you are not careful, you may end up in the annihilation of the whole army. After all, this kidnapper is too mysterious and his purpose is not clear. Listen to me. You can't go wrong. Seeing that Sun Chang did not respond for a long time, Shen Goliang's voice came again. Sun Chang gritted his teeth, and finally bent down slightly at Zhang Yi. I'm sorry, I was wrong just now, I shouldn't have attacked you, please forgive me, and I want to. In addition. I'm sorry, is it useful? If I say I'm sorry, will they be able to resurrect me? I'm sorry, will all the 3,000 people in Beiyu village be able to stand in front of me again? At this moment, Zhang Yi couldn't tell the difference between reality and dreams. He only knew that in reality and in dreams, there were people who attacked him inexplicably. At this moment, on the periphery of this Beiyu village, he is not only Zhang Yi, but also the Xuanyi in his dream, the head of Beiyu village who watched the 3,000 villagers and the 100,000 army who got along day and night die together, Xuanyi. Everyone has to pay for their actions, just like the 100,000 corpses buried in the ground. Zhang Yi opened his eyes suddenly, but seeing that the whites of his eyes were already bloodshot, in the eyes of outsiders, Zhang Yi's current behavior is like a madman. No, get back. Shen Goliang's voice suddenly came from the other end of the phone, but even if Shen Goliang didn't say it, Sun Chang also noticed that the state of the young man in front of him was wrong, and at the same time, he felt a shadow of death enveloping him. Didn't care about what he didn't say, Sun Chang and the girl began to run back.